Good morning, Bills Mafia. How are we doing on this Buffalo Bills football Sunday? We are back to a 1 p.m. kickoff. And boy, does that feel good to say. The Buffalo Bills are back in that Sunday 1 p.m. window and ready to roll against the New York Jets. And we have, honestly, I don't remember having a list of so many talking points for a game. So this is going to be fun. I'll be kicking us off here from 9:30 Eastern until 10. And then I will actually be staying on with Casey Reed to talk a little bit of fantasy with you, to talk a little gambling with you. Then Dave will join Casey. Dave Tilton will join Casey for about a half an hour. Then Dave will be joined by Adam Nannini, Mitch Brodeur for some Bills AFC East talk. And then the Bills guys will be back at 11:30 with Dave and myself leading you up to kickoff. So we got a whole bunch of talking points and things to talk about today. Let's scroll through the comment section, see who's here. We got Father Snowman says, good afternoon, everyone. So I either A, want to know where you live, or B, know if that was a mistake. Zane Savage is in the house. Young King is in the house. Bills Guys N is in the house. Michael Curtin, Joe Schmo. We got some predictions coming in already, folks. We got Diggs, 10 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. We have Singletary, 19 carries, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. We got 8 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown. There's a lot of predictions coming in early, and that's where I want to start things off. That's the first thing I want to talk about today. Is those are some hey, my guy, Let's Talk 716 Sports is in the house. There's a lot of bold predictions going around. Like Stephon Diggs is going to do this. Devin Singletary is going to do this. Josh Allen's going to bounce back this week. I don't want to start the show on such a pessimistic note, but I think that this is a talking point that's going a little bit under the radar. And that is that the Buffalo Bills are going through an absolute brutal wave of injuries. Like, let me just go through the Bills injury report. Tyrell Dodson's on IR. Delshon Phillips is on IR. Levi Wallace is on IR. John Brown is not playing today. Dawson Knox is not playing today. Cody Ford is not playing today. Josh Norman is not playing today. Matt Milano, questionable. Trey White, questionable because that back started popping up again. Cam Lewis, his arm, he's practiced all week, but he's got a club hand. He's got like a broken hand. Our secondary is dinged up. We cut Quentin Spain. Our interior offensive line is dinged up. We're without that second receiver to take the top off the defense, which changes a lot of what we do on offense. The Buffalo Bills are in the middle of a gigantic tsunami of injuries. Meanwhile, the New York Jets are probably as healthy as they've been all season. I understand that they're going to be without their starting guard today, Lewis. Chris Hogan was placed on IR, and Jamison Crowder is unlikely to play today. But I'm not saying I'm not confident the Buffalo Bills are going to win today. I'm confident the Buffalo Bills are a better coached football team. The Buffalo Bills have a better roster. That everything about the Buffalo Bills tells me, despite all these injuries, that I'm confident they're going to win today. But I don't know if I'm confident that they're going to beat this 10.5 point spread. I don't think that this is going to be some steamroll where we laugh our way into halftime and then have a good time in the second half and sit back and relax. The Buffalo Bills are going through some stuff, and the New York Jets are as healthy as they've ever been. So those two things, I think, are going to come together and make for what might be a game that's a little too close for comfort for everyone involved, especially the Bills fans, not for Jets fans. I think the Jets fans would be happy to be in a game at some point this year and for it to be close. But I think it might be a little bit more uncomfortable than people think it's going to be today. And I don't mean to get you down, but I just do. We got a great comment here from Bills Guys, and he says, Gabriel Davis will have a good day today, a good game today. Gabe Davis needs to step up today. We look at this Jets defense. This Jets defense is not good against the pass. And the Buffalo Bills are going to have to throw that football today. We've noticed with when John Brown has been out and when John Brown has been hampered. The one thing that Tennessee did really well was they bracketed Stephon Diggs. And you can expect to see Stephon Diggs bracketed once again in that zone coverage, having a safety, having a corner, having a lot of coverage over there to Stephon Diggs' side. Yes, you're still going to want to feed Stephon Diggs the ball, but if you're truly going to want to open up this offense, two things have to happen. The Buffalo Bills have to realize Cole Beasley exists before halftime. If Marcus May is blitzing, you dump that ball off to Cole Beasley. You get that ball into Cole Beasley's hand. You got to put it in his chest, Josh Allen. Cole Beasley's going to be a huge part of this game. Second part is Gabe Davis. I know you're a rookie. I know you've had a couple of good plays here and there. You got to become a man today. You got to become a National Football League player today, Gabe Davis. We need you to help us take the top off the defense. We need you to help us drop those safeties back. So as Young King says here, we can get our run game going. Open up your run game. You know who is most important, I think, to opening up our run game right now? Gabe Davis. We need that second wide receiver, because John Brown's been hampered the past couple of weeks, dropping those safeties, getting those safeties to drop back. We need that to happen in order to be successful today. Gabe Davis needs to step up and have himself a game. Show that he's a National Football League player, that he's more than just a niche player. Show you're a wide receiver number 2 today. Let those safeties drop back, and let's start running the football. Speaking of running the football, Matthew Ronkowski in here saying Duke Williams has a chance to redeem himself. It'll be really interesting to see if Duke is active. I hope he is. And that'll be another player over the middle. I mean, imagine some 4 wide receiver sets with Cole Beasley and Duke Williams working the middle of the field and guys like Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs on the outside. I think that might be I think that could be a really impressive quartet of wide receivers and a really impressive package, because you got that size and yet you got that sort of like ability to get open over the middle in Duke Williams and Cole Beasley, and then you got that speed on the outside in Gabriel Davis and Stephon Diggs. So that could be something as well. I don't think you'll see Duke Williams. Everyone says Duke Williams lining up a tight end. I think he's a body, and I think he's a bigger body. I don't think he's going to be a traditional tight end, but have you got like Joe Schmo, have you noticed this year how a couple of times they've had Gabe Davis like going back and forth, between both sides of the football field, and then when he finally stops, he's almost on like a tight end position? I think you could see that from Duke Williams today. He's just a bigger body guy, a guy who can play on special teams, a guy who can sort of semi line up in the slot, but closer to the line of scrimmage, get his body in there and chip some people. Like when you're on the goal line, it's going to be, he's not going to be running tight end routes, but they still want that bigger body there to chip in some pass sets. When they're down the goal line, though, you're not going to see Duke Williams putting his hand on the ground in those 3 tight end sets. It's going to be Ty Nsekhe. It's going to be Reggie Gilliam. It's going to be, Jordan Devey, who's 6'7". Like you'll see some of these Ryan Bates, like you'll see some of these guys come off the bench to play the tight end sets when it's like a traditional run down the goal line and stuff. So in a sense, Duke Williams is taking the spot of like a Dawson Knox today, but he's not a traditional tight end. He's very much going to be just a bigger body in there to chip, a guy to give you a presence over the middle of the field, things of that nature. But going back to the running game, and I just mentioned the name Jordan Devey. I just mentioned the name Ryan Bates. I just mentioned the name Ty Nsekhe. Buffalo Bills did a thing this week. They decided, hey, we're going to cut Quentin Spain, despite the fact that Cody Ford is hurt and Brian Winters sucks and John Feliciano is still not ready to come back from injury. The Brandon Beane sold it as a number of things. It was a cap decision. They had to cut him by a certain date in order to save that money. That's true. It was Quentin Spain wasn't happy being benched for 2 players that he felt were lesser than him, which is true. And he might have just started becoming a little bit of a problem in the locker room. So, for whatever reason, the Buffalo Bills decided to pull the trigger and make that move. But that leaves the Buffalo Bills at sort of a disadvantage this week because John Feliciano is not ready to come back. So when you look at the Buffalo Bills offensive line, I think it's set in stone that Deion Dawkins is your left tackle. It's set in stone that Mitch Morse is going to be the center today. And unfortunately, it seems like it's probably going to be pretty set in stone that Brian Winters is your right guard and Darrell Williams is your right tackle. And that brings you to a question, like who's going to be the left guard? I think what I would like to see is Ty Nsekhe get a shot at left guard. As odd as that sounds, people say, well, why don't you put Ty Nsekhe at right tackle and kick Darrell Williams into right guard? Well, it's because Brian Winters is not a left guard. Sean McDermott even came out and said he's not a left guard. So who's going to play left guard? So now you're benching. So that would be just you benching Brian Winters. That would be you moving your right tackle into right guard and completely overhauling your offensive line. That's just not a move I can picture the Buffalo Bills doing. Back to Ty Nsekhe, another move I can't picture the Buffalo Bills doing, but I'd like to see Ty Nsekhe at left guard. He spent some time. He spent some time this preseason playing guard. He spent time last preseason playing guard. Ty Nsekhe is capable of playing guard, despite the fact he's got a huge frame, 6'8", 300 whatever pounds. He's got that ability to play left guard. Feliciano was not back, Chris. That's why we're having this. If Feliciano was back, it'd be quite simple. It would be Dawkins, Feliciano, Morse, Winters, and Williams. It honestly wouldn't even be a question because, for some reason, the Buffalo Bills seem to like Brian Winters, and he's right guard only. But, yeah, and I mean, Mike, we can go down that rabbit hole, but that's pretty much the reason why Quinton Spain is off this roster right now, because the Buffalo Bills had to kick Cody Ford inside when they never thought they'd have to, and that caused a whole bunch of trouble with the personalities on that interior offensive line. But, yeah, as Joe Schmo says here, I'd like to see Nsekhe in the field, period. It's the longest-winded way to get to this. I'd like to see Ty Nsekhe at left guard. But the Bills are never going to do it. And the reason why the Buffalo Bills are never going to do it is because if Deion Dawkins or Darrell Williams gets hurt, they no longer have an elite swing tackle, which is what Ty Nsekhe is. Like, if you really think about it, Ty Nsekhe could start at left tackle or right tackle for a lot of teams in the National Football League, and he is our swing tackle. He's our backup. So while he's definitely one of the 5 best offensive linemen on this team, and he should be on the football field playing every week, week in and week out, some people question whether his knees can hold up or his body can hold up. And some people, in my opinion, I just believe that the Buffalo Bills don't want to risk a third tackle to injury. They're afraid if Deion Dawkins gets hurt, like he has a couple of times this year, they're not going to have Ty Nsekhe to put in. They're afraid that if Darrell Williams gets hurt, they're not going to have Ty Nsekhe to put in. I think that's the wrong mindset. I think you got to put the best 5 out there, but it is what it is. So if we take Ty Nsekhe off the table and we assume that Brian Winters is going to start at right guard today, we have 3 options at left guard: Ike Butker, Ryan Bates, and Jordan Devey. So it's going to be really interesting. Sean McDermott hinted earlier this week, yeah, we got some guys who can play there. Some of them aren't even on the active roster. They're on the practice squad. And when he said that, my mind immediately went to former New York Jet, former NFL starter Jerome Harrison, who is more of a pure center than a guard, but a guy who's got a lot of NFL experience. My mind went there immediately. But then yesterday, when it came time for practice squad call-ups, who gets the call-up? It was Jordan Devey. So could Jordan Devey be the surprise starter today? 6'7", 320 pounds. Sort of kicked around the league a little bit. Could Jordan Devey be the surprise starter today at left guard? And if so, woof. Because what the hell has Ike Butker been doing on this roster for the last 2-3 years? Like, this dude needs to shit or get off the pot. Am I right? Excuse me for my language this morning. But, like, he's got to crap or get off the pot. Like, if Ike Butker ain't playing, what the hell are we doing from a developmental standpoint? What's this guy, like, on the 10-year plan to the starting lineup? When he hits the age of 30, we finally going to see him in the starting lineup? Like I don't understand. So when it comes to Ike Butker, we got to see him play today. I know that there's a lot of Ryan Bates fans out there in the world. So we can have that conversation about Ryan Bates. I like Ryan Bates. Ryan Bates kind of reminds me of Jeremiah Searles, though. Remember Jeremiah Searles back from the early Sean McDermott years? By the early Sean McDermott years, I mean 2 years ago. The guy who can play all 5 positions on the offensive line. He can't play any of them well, but he can play all 5 positions. That's Ryan Bates. Ryan Bates in a pinch could play left tackle, left guard, center, right guard, or right tackle. He played all 5 positions on the offensive line. So I've always liked Ryan Bates from a standpoint of a player on this roster. Break glass in case of emergency type. But is he going to be our starting left guard today? And if so, let's hope his best of the 5 positions he can play is left guard, because he wasn't a great left tackle. We saw him play left tackle. He wasn't great. So, the Buffalo Bills have a question at left guard, and between Butker not looking great whenever he plays and Ryan Bates being more of a utility man, I really, really think that we could see Jordan Devey today at left guard. Joe Schmo says, on the D side, I hope Zimmer can get our run D back on track. Dude has impressed me, constant penetration. He was hot and cold the last game. he has some really impressive plays, but then he has some plays where he looks absolutely lost. This is a guy who is a great developmental prospect. Don't get me wrong, but he probably shouldn't be playing the role in this defense that he is. So to me, I mentioned this on my podcast on that dropped on Thursday, the take, the newest endeavor I have, my side project from the Bills guys, and it ended up getting cut for time. But we had a conversation. Did the Bills drop the ball this offseason? Like, I understand that Star Lotulelei opted out, and that was not something the Buffalo Bills expected. But just because Star Lotulelei opted out doesn't mean that you shouldn't have 2 one-techs. The biggest thing that I'm going to talk about today, and we're going to talk about this more in the 11:30 hour and the 12 o'clock hour, the 11 o'clock hour, is what the hell were Quentin Jefferson and Ed Oliver doing rotating at one tech against the Kansas City Chiefs? Are you kidding me? Talk about putting your defense in a position to fail. Having 2 really good 3-technique defensive tackles in Quentin Jefferson and Ed Oliver, 2 guys who can disrupt the game, 2 guys who can have a huge, huge, huge impact on the game. Taking on doubles and clogging lanes. Come on, give me a break. I should never see Ed Oliver or Quentin Jefferson playing one tech. Get them some big fatties to put next to them and let them do what they do best. It's unbelievable how much the Bills dropped the ball in not getting a one tech this offseason. Star Lotulelei or not. You knew Harrison Phillips was coming off an ACL. Like, there should have been more bodies, bigger bodies on that defensive line to take the pressure off of Quentin Jefferson and of Ed Oliver. And talk about a whiff. Vernon Butler's been awful. Vernon Butler is not going to be a Buffalo Bill in 2021 if he doesn't step up his game, because he's just been invisible. So the defensive line's got to step up today because the Jets' offensive line isn't that great. They're getting Mekhi Becton back. Again, it's going to be the veterans of Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes going at him. See what they got. George Font is questionable for the game, but likely to play. You're going to have Trent Murphy back and AJ Epinesa over on the left side. Probably a little bit of Mario Addison shadowing over. We got to generate some pass rush. Sam Darnold's back. Muddy that pocket. Get Sam Darnold uncomfortable. On the interior, Alex Lewis is out. He's going to be replaced by rookie Cameron Clark. Show the rookie what's up. You got, I'm blanking on who their center is for the Jets, and I do apologize. Connor McGovern. You got Connor McGovern and stuff in there in the middle, and it's just Greg Van Roten. Even if it is Jefferson and Oliver today, they should be able to take advantage. And the defensive line has just got to do something today. They got to get some pressure. They got to get some penetration. They got to be able to stuff the run on their own. You notice, like the Raiders game, we shut down Josh. We shut down Derrick Henry because we were actually giving the defensive line some help. You took that help away last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. You dropped guys back into coverage because you were afraid of Patrick Mahomes, and they ran all over you. This defensive line's got to be able to do it without help, folks. They're paid a ton of money. They got to do it without help. Whether it's getting pressure on the quarterback, got to do it without help. The help can come in spurts, but it shouldn't have to come every play. Stopping the run, got to do it on your own. Again, the help can come in spurts, but you got to be able to do it on your own for a majority of the time. That's how the Sean McDermott defense works. He likes to drop guys back into coverage, drop those safeties back into zones, drop those corners back, look for turnovers. That's what Sean McDermott wants to do. That's the DNA of this defense. So you can't. This defense can't function unless the defensive line is doing some things on their own. Take the training wheels off, guys. Come on now. We got to get some pressure on Sam Darnold, and we got to shut down the run, and it's got to come from 4 or 5 guys. Simple as that. Vernon Butler needs to step up. Jerry Hughes needs to stop trying to overcompensate for his defensive tackles. Quentin Jefferson, Ed Oliver, I understand that you're seeing double teams. You got to be better. You got to be better. And Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott got to be better, getting you opportunities to do so. So my biggest concern on defense this week is going to be what do we do at linebacker if Matt Milano's not back? Because Tyrell Dodson's on IR now, which means it's do you really want to go into a game against the New York Jets who run the ball a decent amount and run the ball decently well with Frank Gore and Michael P. Ryan? Certainly better than they pass the ball, because I think they're the league worst in passing. That counts for 2 weeks of Joe Flacco, but still, it's a team that is going to run the ball. Can you really afford to play 2 linebackers in Klein and Edmonds and not play not play a third linebacker. So Matt Milano, hope he plays today. The secondary, Josh Norman out, Levi Wallace out, Trey White with the back. Ooh, let's hope he plays. Let's assume Trey White plays today. Spencer, I'm going to get to your question in a minute too, because that's a really good one about trades and stuff. Trey White plays today. Cornerback number 1, obviously Poyer and Hyde of the safeties. Despite the fact that we might not like Teron Johnson, he's healthy. He's your nickel. Okay, so everything is set on in your secondary except CB2 if Trey White plays, which I think he will. Is it going to be Cam Lewis with a club on his hand? Is it going to be rookie Dane Jackson? Is it going to be Saran Neal? Who's going to be your CB2 today? My money's probably on Dane Jackson with a little bit of Cam Lewis sprinkled in. Like Cam Lewis will be active, but he will only play special teams with that club hand. And they're probably going to roll Dane Jackson out there at CB2. And Cam Lewis will play if needed. That is my prediction. But it's a good thing. I shouldn't say it's a good thing. Denzel Mims is back. And this is where we go. This is where we get back to this conversation we had at the beginning of this half hour. The Bills are going through an absolute tsunami of injuries, and the Jets are the healthiest they've been. Brashad Perryman, Denzel Mims are going to be on the boundary. Are they elite wide receivers? No, but Perryman's gotten the job done in the National Football League before. Denzel Mims is a promising prospect. Trey White with a back injury. Cam Lewis with the club on his hand. Dane Jackson, Saran Neal. Good luck. Braxton Berrios is going to be starting in the slot. That's like the one reprieve the Buffalo Bills have today. But Berrios has popped in some playing time. So it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world for Teron Johnson, who's been struggling to cover. So it's going to be really, really interesting. And that brings me to a couple of comments that I saw on here. One of them was about Leslie Frazier. Where is it? It said Leslie Frazier on the hot seat. I can't find the question. I do apologize. But it says, is Leslie Frazier on the hot seat? I don't think so. I really don't. I think he should be. I've made this comment before. I think the Buffalo Bills severely miscalculated their defensive approach and the way the National Football League was going to work. And when I say miscalculated, I think that it's something they really couldn't see coming. Number one, the NFL has told referees to swallow the whistle on ticky-tack calls. So you're seeing a lot less holding this year. So it's a lot harder to generate pass rush with 4 or 5 guys when offensive linemen are allowed to hold at will without the referees throwing the flag. It's more difficult to do that. And that's one of the things that Sean McDermott's defense relies on, is getting pressure with the guys in the front four. Second, COVID. No fans in the stands. I think our defense is a defense that really thrives off of quarterbacks that are confused, quarterbacks that are rattled and taking advantage of that without the crowd noise, without all of that stuff taken into account. It's sort of, it eases the job of the quarterback. It feels a little bit more like a practice setting. They can call audibles up to like 2 seconds before the play starts. Like all these different things that a quarterback in an offense can do when there's no fans in the stands. And the hard counts throw off the pressure too, because you're constantly jumping and then trying to get back and jumping and trying to get back. A lot of things are messing with the head of this defense right now. So to me, Leslie Frazier is not on the hot seat because the Buffalo Bills are just going to wrap this up to just the Buffalo Bills when the offseason, when they look back and they say, what went wrong this season? They're going to be like, well, a lot of things just didn't go in our favor. And we really struggled to adjust because of the personnel. That's what they're going to say. Well, we had the right personnel if it would have been the season we thought it was going to be, but then a whole bunch of things happened we didn't see coming. We'll fix it this offseason. Leslie Frazier, you're fine. To me, if you ask me, Leslie Frazier is running Sean McDermott's defense. If I had my preference, I would have a more aggressive defensive coordinator. If Sean McDermott is sort of your drop back and zone defense, create the pressure with your guy, like if he's the guy who brings that mentality to your defense, I want not a conflicting viewpoint, but I want another guy in the room with a different perspective. And to me, Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott are 2 in sync. And what do you mean? Your defensive coordinator and your head coach are 2 in sync? Well, what I mean by that is they both have the same philosophy, so it's hard for them to adjust right now to all these changes because they're both, I think, conservative in nature. Rush with 4 or 5, drop guys back. That's who they are. That's what's in their DNA as play callers. And I think that we need to go find some guy. We need to go find a guy, find a mind, bring him in here, a guy who's more aggressive, just to be a different voice in the room. Like, hey, here's how we can bring some pressure packages this week. Here's how we can blitz the quarterback, make the quarterback's life hell. Like, hey, they're getting away with these holds. Here are some blitzes we can send. Here are some blitzes we can send in order to be effective. I just think there needs to be a different voice in the room. I think there needs to be someone with more aggressive mindset just to help Sean McDermott be a better coach. So to me, I would like to see a change at defensive coordinator in the offseason, or at least a consultant of some kind brought in. So, but that's me. That is me. So I don't think it'll happen. Someone asked earlier about trade targets. I don't think we're going to see a trade from the Buffalo Bills. I don't. If we did, I really like Sheldon Rankins from New Orleans. I really like Dalvin Tomlinson from the Giants as two possibilities to go after. Marcus Golden, I really liked, but he just went off as a pass rushing option. I think our problem right now is in the middle of the defense. Like, it's defensive tackle. We need some defensive tackles, and I think we need another body at linebacker. So, it's tough. I mean, the Bills are up on it against the cap. Like, they really are. Between being up on it this offseason, I think they have like $4 million. The Quentin Spain moves helps. I think they probably have to cut Trent Murphy if they really wanted to bring another body in here. Not that anyone would mind, but the Buffalo Bills are up against it. If they want to bring in another guy in the secondary, I know Cover One, Greg Thompson has mentioned Josh Jackson from Green Bay. If the Jets are selling, I said I'd like to see a new one in the offseason. I'm not calling for Leslie Frazier's head right now. I was just throwing out something I think I'd like to see the Buffalo Bills consider this offseason. It's where was I? The trade candidates. I mean, it is what it is. I think the biggest need on this defense right now is a one technique defensive tackle to free up the rest of the guys on the defensive line. And I just don't know what you're going to get out there. And I don't think the Bills are all that interested. The Bills showed no interest in Snacks Harrison when he was available. None. So if the Bills are really looking to make a move, the Bills are really looking to add a one tech to fix this defense. Really? They didn't even sniff Snacks Harrison. So I really don't understand from that perspective, if they're even willing to make a deal. But I mean, let's look at it. The Buffalo Bills are 4-2. We just got curb stomped on national television by the Tennessee Titans, who were in the AFC title game last year. And despite the fact that the game was close, and you could make the argument that the game plan was right, and if the offense would have showed up, the Buffalo Bills could have won the game, this, that, like, whatever. It really wasn't like it was an ugly game, and we lost to the Super Bowl champions of last year. So we're now 4-2. We sit at 4-2, and we have 2 games left, or 2 games on our docket against the New York Jets and the New England Patriots. If the Buffalo Bills go into the Meadowlands this Sunday and they do what they're supposed to do and they beat the Jets, we're 5-2, 3-0 in the division. And then if we can finally overcome and get that New England Patriot monkey off our back against a New England Patriot team that isn't playing so hot, that isn't what they used to be. And I understand we have our flaws too. The Bills team of last year beats the Patriots team this year, but can the Bills team of this year beat the Patriots team this year? I don't know, with all the injuries that we have. But we have a chance to be 6-2 2 weeks from now. 6-2 and 4-0 in the AFC East. So as much as we, the Bills fans, want the Buffalo Bills to go make a deal, I think Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott aren't hitting the panic button. I think they're looking at it like, hey, if we go out there and do our business, we're better than our next 2 opponents. We're 6-2 and 4-0 in the division. I mean, if you can't make the playoffs from there, I don't know what to tell you. 6-2, 4-0 in the division, that's house money to go and fix all your woes. The rest of the season is practice. You got to win 3 games. Like, I mean, come on. If you go to 6-2 and 4-0 in the division. Ain't nobody catching you in the AFC East. Ain't Tua's starting in Miami, so unless Tua's the next Patrick Mahomes, they ain't catching you. New England, they have a tougher schedule than we do. They ain't catching you. So if the Buffalo Bills can win these next 2 games, they can get to 6-2. 4-0 in the division. That's the big part. The rest of the season just becomes preseason. It's like, all right, let's get our 3 games and figure out what works and what doesn't work, and let's get ready for the playoffs. And when we get to the playoffs, let's make a run. So as much as we as Bills fans are hitting the panic button, I am too. I want to see them add some bodies to this defense because I don't think we have the personnel to be successful. I don't know if the front office is in the same position we are. I just don't. Let me check my phone here real quick because I'm supposed to be joined by my man Casey Reed for a little fantasy talk at the 10 a.m. hour, and he is not here. So let's see. Has he even seen it yet? He has not seen it yet. My guess is my man Casey Reed might be sleeping in this morning. So I will continue with you. And when Casey checks in, we will get started with some fantasy talks. If you have some fantasy questions, you can throw them at me. But he is more the fantasy guy than myself. But that being said, the spread in this game was what, 10.5 to start the week? People in the comment section, do you guys feel like the spread is too generous? Do you think 10.5 points is the proper spread? So in the comment sections, let me know what you think. Is 10.5 points a proper spread? Because to me, with all the injuries on the Bills side and with how healthy the Jets are getting, I think this game might be closer than 10 points. Like if I was a betting man, I almost think I'd take the Jets today. Am I crazy? Am I crazy to think that I would take the Jets not to win the game, but to win the game with a spread? Chris says he thinks it's fair because the Bills are 0-6. Should I start Cole Beasley or Allen Robinson? That's a great question. But I would say I think Cole Beasley has to have a big game. And I think the Buffalo Bills need to target Cole Beasley. And I think the Bills are finally going to wake up and realize they need to target him early. But that being said, Allen Robinson is a wide receiver number 1 who's going to get wide receiver number 1 targets. I don't think you play the niche slot receiver over the alpha receiver in Chicago. So I go with Allen Robinson. We got a question here from Sean Sherman. He says, thank you for the super chat, by the way. He says, Noah Fant or Gronk. Let me look up the matchup real quick. I don't know who Denver is playing this week, and I do apologize for that. My money is going to be on Gronk unless I can see who the Denver's playing the Chiefs. I'll tell you what, I would go with Gronk. I think I would start Gronk in this game, mostly because I think he's finally starting to hit his stride. I think he's finally starting to get his NFL legs back. I think that he's got a quarterback who's known him for 10 plus years. So to me, even though I think Noah Fant's the better player, and if you were in a dynasty league, like he's the guy I'd take all day. But in terms of this weekend's matchup, I would go with Rob Gronk and think to myself, like, yeah, he's probably going to catch at least 1 touchdown. Ryan Teal says, who is this guy? LOL, Mr. Stevie. Yeah, it's for those who don't know, I host the Bills Guys podcast. I'm usually a big part of this pregame, but I've been a little busy with the old professional life the last couple of weeks. I am a school teacher, and we just returned to school in person. It's been crazy. It has been really crazy. So I've been putting in a lot of 10, 11, 12-hour days. So I haven't been able to host some of these shows like I normally do, but I'm back, people. Don't get me wrong. I'm back in the saddle. I am ready to roll. I will be an active part of the Bills Guys and this pregame show moving forward over the next couple of weeks. Some things I want to talk about since we're still waiting on Casey here. Some things I want to talk about. Third down. Third down is going to be a huge part of this game. The Buffalo Bills defense is 31st in the league on third down. I'd say Deontay. Jamal Williams is cool, but he's an RB2. He's an RB2. So I'd always go with Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver. I think he would get more targets in the passing game and more chances for touchdowns than Jamal Williams would get. So I would go with Deontay Johnson. Bills guys is looking for Nap Knows Bills. Nap's actually on vacation this week. He won't be joining us. So it'll just be, it's supposed to be me and Casey right now, and then Dave and Casey. But I think our man, Mr. Reed, finally couldn't wake up in time for one of his shows. That and his computer's been kind of bugging on him. So he might be having some technology issues. So you guys are stuck with me. Sorry, Bills guys. They're stuck with me for now. But let's go back to some Bills talk. And Spin says, why can't the Bills ever stop people on third down? Oh, Casey's in the waiting room right now. He's fixing the hair. I'll give him some time. But he says, why can't the Bills ever stop guys on third down? This is the test for our defense today. And this is what I'm going to be looking for. The Buffalo Bills defense is 31st in the league on third down. 31st. The New York Jets are 32nd in the league on offense on third down. So it is the 31st ranked defense on third down versus the 32nd ranked offense on third down. If the Buffalo Bills can't turn it around today on third down, folks, I don't know what to tell you. I have no answers for you. The Buffalo Bills got to get it right. This needs to be a get-right game for our defense. With all the injuries that this team is rolling through, this has to be a get-right game for our defense. It has to be a get-right game for our defensive line. This has to be a get-right game for Tremaine Edmonds. This has to be a get-right game for our safeties. I'm going to take the corners out of the equation because the corners are so banged up. So everyone else is going to have to step up. The D-line, the linebackers, the safeties, all those guys are going to have to get right to bail out what is going to be a group of very, very unhealthy corners and to help this offense. Because I really do think this offense has been slowed down by this defense. I really do think that Sean McDermott went to Brian Daboll and said, slow this offense down. Our defense can't stop anyone. You need longer possessions. And I just don't think that that's in Josh Allen's DNA. So I think that the Buffalo Bills need to speed it up on offense, get back to that up-tempo stuff, get the ball rolling, get the ball moving, score points. Don't be afraid of the big play. They've been afraid of the big play for 2 weeks now. Is it because John Brown is not taking the top off the defense? Is it because we can't run the ball so the safeties are staying back? Why aren't we making the big play? Whatever the reason for us not making the big plays that we were making the first 4 weeks of the season, figure it out and fix it. Daboll's scheme has guys breaking wide open early and flat. Josh notice hesitates, looks deep, then has to rush, subsequently throws the ball inaccurately. Yeah, I mean, I can get down with that. I do think that I noticed on a few occasions the last game, he missed some guys. He missed Singletary on that dump off. He missed Cole Beasley on that third down. Maybe Josh is pressing, looking for that big play that's just not there because the running game is not allowing those safeties to move up and there's nothing over the top. But that being said, I just don't know if that's Josh Allen, the quarterback, hitting those crossers and stuff. I don't know if that's his game. So, the Buffalo Bills got to find a balance. Buffalo Bills have to find a balance of what Josh Allen does well and what's working and what'll work for a defense and combine those two things together. So I think we've almost got Casey ready. Yeah, this has got to be a get-right game for this defense in a lot of ways. I understand that Matt Milano's coming off of injury, might not even play. I understand that our secondary, our boundary corners are banged up. But, I mean, we go through and let's look at this. The New York Jets offense is dead last in points per game, 12.5. They came and mustered 2 touchdowns a game. They are dead last in third down percentage, 30%. Well, what are some other stats? They're like 21st in the league in rushing the ball. They are 32nd in passing the ball. This needs to be a get-right game for our defense. No excuses. None at all. So I think our boy is ready. Give me a thumbs up, Casey, if you're ready. He's ready to go. So we will be back, ladies and gents, in about 1 minute to talk a little fantasy and to talk a little gambling.
What is going on, my fellow gamblers? Welcome back to Cash Out BF's Must Bet. games of the week. If I were you, I'd be putting down parlay on all these games. But let's jump straight into it. The first game we're going to talk about is the Green Bay Packers minus 3.5 going against none other than Deshaun Watson and that Houston Texans defense. Now, don't get me wrong, Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback and that defense is okay, but nothing in this world is more dangerous than a pissed off Aaron Rodgers, and he is mad. Point blank, period. He is pissed off. He was embarrassed last week by that stout Tampa Bay defense. This game will not be close. Green Bay wins it in a touchdown in a classic Aaron Rodgers moment. Next game we're going to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers plus 2.5. Jimmy G is back healthy. George Kittle is back healthy, and there's not a safety, not a linebacker, not anybody that can cover George Kittle in this league. I said it. Be prepared for George Kittle to run all over the Patriots defense. Not only that, but the Patriots offense looked like hot garbage in that Denver game. There was nothing they could do right. Cam Newton looked awful. And let's be real, folks, that game should have been a complete blowout. Drew Lock was throwing darts in the end zone. He can't help it that his wideouts and or tight ends can't even catch the ball. I'm riding with Jimmy G. I'm riding with George Kittle. I'm riding with San Francisco plus 2.5. And finally, the last game that we're going to talk about is the Kansas City Chiefs minus 9.5 going against Denver. And I get it. I understand. I just hyped up Denver like they were the next Super Bowl winning team. But they can't hang with Kansas City. There's nothing you can say to make me believe that they can hang with Kansas City. Kansas City could have put up a 50-burger on the Bills last week, but they didn't. They decided to control the clock. They can kill you in the run game. They can kill you in the pass game. They can kill you on defense, special teams. You pick your poison. The Kansas City has what you need. They're going to get it done. Minus 9.5. If I were you, I'd parlay every single one of these games together. And once again, those games were Green Bay minus 3.5, San Francisco 49ers plus 2.5, and Kansas City Chiefs minus 9.5 going against Denver. Parlay these games together. Don't miss a beat. Win that cash. Thank me later.
Well, surprise, it's just me again because it looks like Casey's having a little bit of technical issues. Casey, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to go down there. He's right. Okay, now he claims he is ready to go. So let's see how well I can figure this out here as we try to. All right, what's up? Using your phone again, Nick?
Dude, I am not having the greatest of mornings. Oh, dude, I'm so mad right now. You get your laptop up and working. You get it fine, right? You're doing a lot of things on it, okay? I'm ready to go, by the way, at 9 o'clock when I'm supposed to be, right? And it won't open Google Chrome, which, fun fact, the application that we're using only works on Google Chrome. So it's pretty annoying. So then I had to go and find my phone. I had to go and find my AirPods. I'm over it. Let's talk gambling, dude.
Hey, Ryan Chill says you're looking smooth, though. You got the hair flow this morning. It looked like you finally woke up early enough to put some gel in your hair.
No, I don't use product. I'm letting my hair down today.
You don't use product. Bullshit.
I do not use product. I swear.
You're telling me that's au naturel. You're telling me that's au naturel.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Unbelievable.
Yes, sir. I don't believe in product. I normally just, let my hair push it all the way back and wear a hat, but it is what it is today. I'm gonna let my hair down. We're gonna talk some gambling.
All right, I have a gambling question for you to start off, and I
got a gambling answer,
and it's Bills related. So,
okay.
At the beginning of the week, the spread of this football game was 10.5, right?
Okay.
Is it still 10.5, or is I think I saw that you said it went up? I'm not the biggest of gambling guys in the world.
So it was 13. It was minus 13, and then it went down. So, and that's by Matt
Perino.
Cash out. He actually found that for me. I wasn't actually paying attention to the lines too much, but he came out and he let us know that the lines decreased. And essentially what that says is it says Vegas is not excited for Buffalo. That's what it says, right? Basically means that they believe the Jets won't lose by 13 anymore, that they'll lose by 10. Right? So it's still a good spread. I'm still taking it. Also,
well, that's from
laptop
that was
working.
That was my question to you. Which one should I put in here? There we go. Look at that. All right, we are professionals here. That's my question to you. So the way I opened up this show today was I talked about the Buffalo Bills are going through an absolute tsunami of injuries. John Brown is out. Cody Ford is out. Dawson Knox is out. Half our tight end room, 3/4 of our tight end room is out. We're missing, we could be missing Matt Milano again. Tyrell Dodson's on IR. Josh Norman, Levi Wallace. The Buffalo Bills are going through an absolute tsunami of injuries, and the Jets are the healthiest they've been all season. Brashard Perryman and Denzel Mims on the boundary. I know Jamison Crowder is not going to play, but Braxton Burrows is a decent slot. Sam Darnold is back. Could this be a game where you might want to not predict the Jets to win, but bet the Jets because this game might be closer than people think? Or do you still feel confident the Bills are going to win this game by 10+ points?
It's interesting that you said that, right? Mm-hmm. Because 45% of me is like, you know what, the Jets, that's not a bad spread, +10. I could see this game being close. I could see the score being close. With that said, 65% of me or 55% of me is still going with Buffalo. I'm still going with Buffalo on that one.
All right, we got the Pullout King.
I get what you're saying, though.
Mm-hmm. Pullout King here says the hair is on point today, boys. Thank you. I appreciate that, Pullout King. And then we got your typical co-host. He's feeling a little lonely this morning. I think he misses you a little bit. He says, I might be on vacation, but I have to ask Casey about his team's fantasy record. Also, our weekly bet is the Browns-Bengals game. I got Browns -3. What do you got, Browns-Bengals?
I got Bengals. I've got Bengals. I'm running with Joey B. Bengals are covering constantly. I'm not going to not bet on the Bengals right now. And it's not because they're winning games, but they're getting close to the spread or they're covering the spread. And that is a gambling dream right there. So I'm going Bengals right there. He's an idiot for taking the Browns. I was an idiot for taking the Browns last week. He can go ahead and send me my $10 that I sent him last week. And then, of course, my fantasy record isn't looking that good. Won't lie to you. I need to start paying more attention to it. I get so busy talking to everybody else about their fantasy records that I'm like, oh, snap. I haven't even set my lineup yet. So I guess when we get done, I'll set mine.
And again, people in the comment section, feel free as you're rolling around, as you're rolling through, comment with any fantasy questions you have, any gambling questions you have. Casey will do his best to answer, and I'll do my best to pretend to know an answer. Mostly just mimic what he's saying. Mostly just here to moderate in this little half hour. Dave will be joining in about 15 minutes. And Dave's got some gambling expertise, and Dave could probably give you some better pointers. But here's the next question I have for you, and it's Bills Jets related again. The over/under is 46 points, which is about 6 touchdowns, right? Yeah. Do the math there. About 6 touchdowns. This is a team, the Buffalo Bills, the last couple of weeks, they've been slowing it down on offense because they're sort of afraid of their defense, I think. And the John Brown injury and the lack of ability to run the ball has a little bit to do with it. But the Bills' offensive drives have been slowing down. They become more of a possession ball club the last 2 weeks than they were the high-powered Bills of the first 4 weeks. And the New York Jets, despite the fact they're getting Sam Darnold back, are averaging 12.5 points per game. 46 points, that's 6 touchdowns. That's predicting both teams to get in the 20s or one team to get in the 30s and one other team to get in the teens. I normally smash the over, but is this a week where you might want to take a risk at betting the under?
No, not at all. You said it. You said the under is for cowards. So quit being a coward right now. go with the over. I could see it. It could happen. The Jets honestly could put up, 17 points on us, right? And then the Bills could turn into that high-powered offense again, just for the fact of, hey, it's not working that they're a possession football team. We noticed that, right? So go back to what was working. Why don't you just, whatever, have a shootout, right? Let Josh Allen go out there and shoot, because why? Shooters shoot. So I like the over on this one.
We got a question here from the Pullout King. He said, did you guys hear the rumor about the Melvin Ingram trade? I haven't. I've heard a lot of speculations, but I wouldn't say I've heard rumors. I consider rumors things that you hear from Pro Football Network, Adam Schefter, things like that. Even I'll even take an incarcerated Bob rumor every once in a while if I like what he has to say. But I haven't heard any rumors. I've heard speculation Ingram is on the block. That there was a podcast on this network. We're not going to name them, but they did a whole show in the offseason about trading for Melvin Ingram. And the question that I have is really like, what do the Bills have to give up for Melvin Ingram, and why would we trade for Melvin Ingram when, in my opinion, he's just a clone of Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison? Like, he's not the kind of defensive end I want. I'm looking for a more stout kind of guy. I just don't know if we need to add another guy who's going to get swallowed up by blockers. I mean, to me, the defensive line needs beef right now more than it needs legitimate. I think we have the pass rushers. I just think they need the beef to free them up. Yeah.
You got a point.
We got a question here from I almost said Thack Attack, but Tack Attack. It says, back to Deontay Williams or Jamal Williams start. If Aaron Jones is hurt, do you start Jamal? You definitely start Jamal if Aaron Jones is hurt. Well, what is it looking for like for Aaron Jones on the injury front, Casey?
I have no idea. But with that being said, Jamal Williams is his backup. You're going to start him. Aaron Rodgers is pissed off. Aaron Rodgers is mad, and there's nothing more dangerous, said it in the video, than a pissed off Aaron Rodgers, right? So I'm starting Jamal Williams. He's definitely going to get a lot of touches, whether it be in the pass game or in the run game with Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, as of 31 minutes ago, Aaron Jones is not expected to play, which is a huge blow to
Jamal
my
Williams.
Personal fantasy teams. Yeah, Jamal Williams, out of question.
Jamal Williams, 100%.
Without a question. Mm-hmm.
And I've never given I don't understand the hype behind Deontay Johnson.
Don't you dare.
I don't.
Don't you dare diss the Mac like that.
I said it.
Don't you dare diss the
Mac
like that. Don't. I'm not going to allow the slander of Mac football.
I'm not. No one's slandering. I just don't get the hype.
Where did Deontay Johnson play football?
Don't care.
Oh, my God. Pride of the Mac, baby. Pride of the Mac.
Don't care.
All right. Well, folks. I'm just counting down the time till I have to get off air here because I can't be sitting in a room with someone who hates on Matt football. The way.
Look, we need the reincarnation of Bruce.
Yeah,
I mean, we could dabble into the cult and see what we can come up with.
But no. Like what I'm saying, what Matthew's saying here is we need a reincarnation of Bruce Smith, and I agree with him to an extent. Like, obviously, you're not going to go find Bruce Smith. Those guys are absolute freaks. They are once-in-a-generation types of talents. But that's the type of defensive end we need. And one of the things that I've been thinking about with AJ Epinesa, it's been on the top of my mind, but I really haven't verbalized it yet because I haven't really fully fleshed out this thought yet. And that is AJ Epinesa, to me, when we drafted him, I'm like, all right, cool. That's a really big body defensive end. Like a guy who's going to be stout against the run, who will chip in a couple sacks here and there. Like, I like the idea of adding that beef to anchor the left side of the defensive line. But he's shown up to training camp, and he has shown up in the regular season, and he looks significantly smaller than he did in college. It almost looks like he shredded a ton of weight to try to be more of a traditional pass rusher. And I just don't know if it's working out for AJ Epinesa the way he thought it would. I really would like to see AJ Epinesa beef back up. Yeah, the Ball King says the same thing. He's like, it looks kind of small. I'd like to see AJ Epinesa beef back up and do more of what he did in college and try to win the ways in which he won in college, as opposed to the ways that I think he's trying to win in the National Football League, because I just don't know if it's going to work for him. So we got a couple of regulars in here. Elliot's in the house. Brian's in the house. We do appreciate you guys in here.
What's going on?
Yeah. We got Tag Attack again with a question. Do you think Zimmer will have an impact at all at defensive tackle? He had some flash plays. Like, he had some flash plays against the Chiefs, but
you got it. You get it.
There we go. We struggled. The coffee's wearing off, but
we'll get some more.
He was also thoroughly embarrassed on a lot of plays. Like, there was no middle ground for Justin Zimmer. For Justin Zimmer, it was he either made a really good play or he looked wrong out there. And that's the issue you run into with these young players. Like, this is a guy who should be on the practice squad. This is the guy who should be getting 15% of the reps in a game. He shouldn't be someone you rely on every single down. So it's something to consider. But he hasn't been in what you're talking about. Haven't really seen that too much. He's been in enough.
He's been in a couple of times.
Haven't noticed him.
Yeah.
He's played a decent amount of snaps the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Elliot. My hair was this good way before Judge Mathis decided he wanted to be a clone of Todd McShay. So I want to hear it.
Todd McShay, whatever.
When do we get Feliciano back?
When we get him back,
week,
do you think that could help our run game? I do think that could help our run game. The
100%.
question's going to be: is John Feliciano going to be the left guard, and Brian Winters is going to unfortunately stay at right guard, or is John Feliciano going to go back to right guard, and is Cody Ford experiment going to continue at left guard? I really hope it's the latter. I really, really hope it's the latter because I'm just over Brian Winters and everything Brian Winters has to offer this football team.
Hey, I just want to point out that I'm about to go 13-0 today in gambling. I just wanted to point that out. No other reason, but I'm going to go 13-0.
All right. So you had your video. Let's talk about your 3 must-bet games this week. What are your 3 must-bet games this week, and explain to the people why?
Okay.
Why are these your 3 must-bet games of the week? I believe the term is parlay. You parlay the 3 of them to win yourself some big money.
Yeah. So I had everybody knows California Buffalo, right? Mm-hmm. So he's new to Buffalo. He's not new to Buffalo, but he's new to gambling, right? And he had a lot of questions with gambling. He was like, "Hey man, do you mind like doing a beginner gambling podcast and ask me, or like let me know some things? I bet you $500 you don't go 13-0. I'm a gambling man, but I'm a poor gambling man. So spin. Come on now. Let's do like $10. Anyways, he was asking me a lot of questions. The term is parlay. And what you mean by parlay is you can bet individual games, or you can take all 3 games and you can basically say, hey, these 3 games, they're going to win no matter what. And you put them all together and your odds go up higher, obviously, because it's bigger of the odds that all 3 of them hit. And then, of course, your winnings are higher. So my 3 must bets were Green Bay at Houston. Green Bay is minus 3.5. Once again, Aaron Rodgers is pissed. He is pissed off. There's nothing more dangerous than him being mad. He was absolutely embarrassed by Tampa Bay. Then he's going up against a porous, that's a word, porous, Houston defense. I mean, come on, you got to ride with Aaron Rodgers there. I believe he wins that game pretty easily. So I'm going Green Bay minus 3.5. The other must-bet game was KC at Denver, minus 9.5 for Kansas City. And for those who are wondering, what is the minus 9.5? What does the plus 3 mean? What do these terms mean? Essentially, I'm saying that Kansas City is going to win by at least 10 points. When I say minus 9.5, I could say at least 9.5, but football doesn't work in half. So just imagine round it up to the next nearest one, which is going to be 10. So I can see Kansas City beating Denver at 10 points, right? And then on the other side, if you believe that Denver can come within 10 points of winning the game, that would be the under. That'd be the dogs, right? So if you believe that, you would take Denver plus 10. Now, with all that being said, they can't compete with Kansas City. Kansas City can do anything you want them to do. They can kill you on the ground, the air, through the special teams, whatever you want, you decide, right? Because they will do it to you, okay? So there's no way that Denver is going to compete, especially when it comes to the red zone. They didn't score a touchdown at all last week. They just kicked field goals all day long. That's nothing against Drew Lock. Drew Lock was doing what he was supposed to do. His receivers, his tight ends, they just weren't catching the ball. That's not on him. So that's why I'm going with Kansas City minus 9.5. I think this is once again the game where every media member is like, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes is MVP. He's so amazing. I love Patrick Mahomes. Marry me, Patrick Mahomes. Have my baby, Patrick Mahomes. This is another game where they're going to say that about Patrick Mahomes. So if you're keeping up at home, this is Green Bay minus 3.5, and then I've got Kansas City minus 9.5. Okay, a couple of other games that I like, those 2 for sure. But if you want to parlay them, right, I would take Tampa Bay at Las Vegas, right? Tampa Bay at Las Vegas. Tampa Bay is minus 3. That offense just got scarier. Obviously, Antonio Brown's not playing this week, but that offense is scarier, okay? And that defense is so stout, right? I'm more worried about the defense than I am the offense. And then you turn around and realize that Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas does not have an offense line. It just is what it is. They don't have an offense line. You're going against that stout defense. There's no way you're telling me right now that Las Vegas is going to come within 3 points of winning that game. So I like Tampa Bay minus 3. And then the last game that I really like is San Francisco at New England. I think this is a criminal of a line. I think this line is made up, but they've got San Francisco plus 2.5. Cam Newton looked pretty bad in that offense last week. Maybe that has a lot to do with him coming up the COVID list, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm still not taking New England. I'm going to take Jimmy G and George Kittle. I don't think there's anybody in the league right now that can block George Kittle. So I'm going to ride with Jimmy G and George Kittle. I'm going to go San Francisco plus 2.5. I like all 4 of those. If you want to do small parlays, you can pick 2 of them. Titans fine $30K. Great.
300K.
Right? 300K.
I don't
That's
know.
what I meant.
That's bullshit. What a slap on the wrist.
But
these NFL teams, that's chump change. That's like a one practice squad player.
I mean, just trade them. Just trade a practice squad player, and there's all your cash.
They're going to sacrifice one of their players on the practice squad to pay that fine.
You've got to. They are Titans. But if you want to take two of those games, right? If you like 2 of those games and you parlay them together, and say you put down $20 on 2 of those games, more than likely you're going to win, upwards to $40, $50, $60. So that's why I'm saying, hey, I like these parlays. I do have all 4 of those in a parlay for me. I enjoy those, but those are my must-bet games right there, all 3 of those.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those were Casey's must-bet games. I am going to bid you guys adieu.
Josh Allen.
Adieu. Is that what?
Josh Allen. Adieu.
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 Adieu. I'm going to bid you adieu for the next hour or so. I'll be back at the 11:30 hour with my main man, Dave Tilton, who's just, honestly, just a better co-host at this point. I just feel more comfortable with him.
I love David. I love David.
Better hair.
Now, hold up now. Hold up now. I had an employee look at me, and she said, you need to cut your hair. And I said, what do you mean? She said, your hair's getting too long. You need to go back to the fade. And I was like, why is that? And she said, because the hair that you have right now doesn't give off the douchebag and arrogance that I'm so used to. And it just doesn't feel right. And I said, you know what? That's fair. I can see that. That's fair. So, all
right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, while we make this slight transition here, make sure that you are joining the BF Text Club, 716-219-0086 for 24/7 access. 24/7 access to the Buffalo Fanatics. Again, the BF Text Club, 716-219-0086.
Oh, that was a wild switch up.
I'm doing my best Steve Mathis impression today by going with the glasses and the no hat. I figured I was going to mix it up today.
Look, dude, I let my hair down too.
And, I thought I was having a pretty good hair day. So I was going to say, you know what, let's just roll with it. And I think that, with me on the left of the screen, Steve leaving, he'll come back eventually. I'm not as good looking as him, but I'm going to try to kind of give off that same vibe as him. So Casey, how are you doing today? I was just listening to your must bet games, and I was actually putting some, as you were talking about it. As I was waiting to come in, I was putting down some action on some of those games. I did a couple little 2-game parlays with some of those.
Yep.
Really like doing those because kind of like limit your risk a little bit. But I do like kind of mixing and matching there because even if, let's say you do 2 and 2 and you hit on one of them, you're still going to make your money back even if you win on just one of them. So I like that. I like doing that. I
like this bet right here. Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kansas City Chiefs, parlay them together, risk $473 and get about $1,200.
That's nice. What up, Brian? Yes, I'm here. Yes, Buffalo Mafia News. I don't have the hat on. Back in the early days, if you remember, I kind of didn't wear a hat. When I had the quarantine hair and it was really flowing, I was going no hat. It was just wild and free back then, man. And so today, like I said, I'm just trying to be the doppelganger, the Steve doppelganger today. And I don't know if you saw it, but did you see that horrible picture Steve picked of me to put on the Twitter promo of me in like a suit for like a wedding?
I loved it. I thought it was cute.
It looked terrible.
He never makes like cool pictures for me, you know what I'm saying? He just like, in fact, he never posts anything I want him to post. He never does just anything for me. So you should feel lucky that you're loved by him.
Well, I do feel lucky, and I don't know if you guys talked fantasy at all yet.
We have not talked fantasy. We talked a little bit of gambling.
So let's talk fantasy then for your next 30 minutes here, because I have some lineup questions of my own, and I want the viewers to kind of ask their questions as well, their fantasy questions to you. I'll try to kind of give my opinions as well, but Let's talk about the Bills Jets from a fantasy standpoint to start with, right? The Bills offense, we're obviously going to be without John Brown.
Yeah,
the tight end,
and that's big.
The tight end room is really Tyler Kroft, and obviously, there's a lot of people who keep wanting to see Duke Williams play tight end, but I just don't see that because
I'm not talking Duke Williams today
because he just has never played there. So let's talk Bills offense and fantasy today.
Yeah.
We remember the first game of the year. Josh Allen put up good numbers against the Jets, as did Diggs, as did John Brown. It was kind of like everyone contributed a little bit in that first game. So who do you like today in fantasy? Maybe for daily fantasy or for season long? Who are the guys you're looking at on the Bills? Maybe they're going to be like undervalued today in fantasy lineups.
Take Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Take them. Go away. They're must starts. They're must starts. Right?
Yep.
They're going to start every single week. Let's dive into it. Let's talk Cole Beasley.
But let me ask you a question.
You can ask me a question. Go ahead.
You're talking about for season long leagues, I'm sure,
right.
but
yes.
I want to ask this selfishly. I have a fantasy decision to make because I heard you talking up Aaron Rodgers before I came on.
Mm-hmm.
I have a league I'm in. It's a 14-team league where I have Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. So who am I starting? Aaron Rodgers or Josh Allen?
That's a tough one. Like honestly, that is a tough one because you got to believe that Josh Allen is going to come out firing. Right. Yes. But you also got to believe Aaron Rodgers is pissed, right? Like he's fitting to do Houston dirty today.
Yes.
Like he's not going to talk to them like he's not talking to his parents. Like he's going to do them dirty. So
can you really go wrong here? I mean, I guess
you can't. Like honestly, you can't. Like New York Jets, they're 14th in the pass game. I'm trying to real quick look up what
I know they don't get to the quarterback very often. I know that. But I do think
Houston position rank is 27th. They've busted 4 out of 5 times according to ESPN league. And what that means is they've been terrible 4 out of the 5 weeks that they've played. I don't know. You can't go wrong. I'll put it that way. I can make an argument for both Aaron Rodgers and for Josh Allen. For me, I have Josh Allen on my team. He's going to start every single week. I also have Big Ben in my league as well. The reason why I'm not starting Big Ben over Josh Allen, especially over these last 2 weeks, is Big Ben has a running game, and it's working, right? Yep. Like, for instance, during that big win with Cleveland, he only had 1 touchdown.
Right.
So I'm not going to start him for that. He's not going to give me the points. But I am going to go with Josh Allen this week, especially this week.
Okay, fair enough. We got some people in the comments section. Ryan says Singletary going to be over 100 yards today. You heard it here first. I assume he means on the ground because the Bills' running game really has been kind of non-existent this year. Is Singletary a guy that could break out today? We know the strength of the Jets' defense is that defensive line, but is Singletary a guy that you could start today maybe as like an RB2 and feel pretty good about it?
You're starting Singletary at running back 2. I don't see him being over 100 yards today, maybe over 100 yards in scrimmage, because of the pass game. But we all know that the Jets have a really good run defense, right? Until they played Miami, and Miami, I don't know what happened there. But if they utilize Singletary in the passing game, I think that slows down the pass rushers and all that good stuff, and they can start using him in the run game. But that's not our strength right now. And that goes back to what Judge was saying is let's air it out. Let's get aggressive. Shooters shoot. That's why I think, honestly, they should be using Singletary in the screen game. He should be running out of the flat, doing wheel routes, doing all kinds of stuff like that. That's what I want to see from Singletary. I feel like it's criminal that they're not doing that. And then, of course, I also want to see him bust out a couple of long ones, but you can't do that until you soften up that defense, right? So don't give up on the run game, right? Because we can see how teams lose when they give up the run game. But I like the fact I saw Josh Allen kind of run a little bit. He doesn't need to run every single play. He doesn't need to run 4 quarterback draws straight back to back to back to back to back. But ever so often, pull it down and run. Do a nice little option play and run. If Daniel Jones can bust out an 80-yard run, why can't Josh Allen pull the ball down and run during an option play? And I think that right there sets up Devin Singletary as well. So I like Devin Singletary as a running back too. He's going to get you those 15 to 20 points in the game, especially if you're in a classic PPR league and all that good stuff. So,
yeah, I mean, you're right. In a PPR league, I think 15 to 20 is probably his ceiling. But I mean, I think the Bills really need to, like, this may not be the week, and we were going to talk about this kind of as the season progresses, but like this running game for the Bills is not good. And the thing that worries me about it is this offensive line, right?
Is it the offensive line? Is it the running back? Is it the play calling? Is it a mix of all three? What is it?
I think it's the offensive line, personally.
Okay.
I'm not ready to put this all on Devin Singletary and blame him. I mean, sure, there might have been some plays, and I think there was some film that Clay broke down that showed there were some plays he left out there against the Chiefs. But this line, what it does to you as a mental thing, when in the back of your mind, if you're Devin Singletary and you are like, well, I have to make something out of nothing on every play because my line isn't doing its job, then maybe you press a little bit. Maybe you hit the wrong hole. Maybe you make the wrong cut.
You start overthinking it. And your feet get happy, and you start doing the Le'Veon Bell dance in the backfield, thinking you're about to bust out 50 yards when not everybody's Le'Veon Bell. And I'm talking about Le'Veon Bell back when he was with the Steelers.
Yeah. So that, to me, I think that's where I come out on this whole thing with the offensive line and Singletary. Like the release.
Ooh. Pick up Elliott's comment. Yeah, let's go, Elliott.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the receivers with John Brown out. So let's start talking about that. Let's start talking about the receivers with John Brown out. Gabriel Davis, big in fantasy this week since Brown is out. But what about Cole Beasley? I feel like Cole Beasley.
I like Cole Beasley. I like him. One thing that hurts. Well, that doesn't hurt Cole Beasley. One thing I'm weary about Cole Beasley is that what's up with his ankle, right? I haven't had enough time this week. This week has been very busy for me when it comes to my day job, so I haven't had enough time to look at it. But how is his ankle doing, right? Now, while you look up how his ankle's doing, I'm going to talk about how he can sit in the zone, he can find that zone, he can start picking up you receptions if you're in a classic PPR league.
To set the stage, he was not on the injury report all week, so I think
he should be fine. I like Cole Beasley. He's going to get you those tough in the middle of the zone type receptions. I like him, but I like Gabriel Davis. He's such a big body wide receiver. Josh trust him, right?
Sure
You're giving him a lot of receptions. Considering he's a rookie, considering he's wide receiver number 4, right? Considering all that, Manny, I hate you.
I saw that. Chat, that's right? What I was laughing.
Manny even says he's a diehard. Don't start Gabriel Davis. Manny even said this week on Buff City Podcast, which you can find us on Apple and or Spotify or anywhere really you want to check out podcasts. But you can find that out there. Manny even agreed with me that you should be looking at Gabriel Davis in the flex. But the way Gabriel Davis is going to be a monster, right? Maybe not this year in fantasy football, but maybe next year. But he's going to be a monster, right? I love Gabriel Davis. He's going to get a lot of receptions today. I'm thinking 6 to 8.
That 6 to 8 is aggressive, but we've got some interesting comments. I'm going to run rapid fire these through with you because we've got some people wanting some start or sit questions. So let's get to it. So Spin 0481 says Cole Beasley or Tim Patrick. That's an interesting one because Tim Patrick for Denver has been coming on. He's been pretty good. He's essentially the number 1 in Denver right now. And he's had a couple good games in a row. So who do you like if you have to choose between one of these two guys? Denver is who is Denver
Kansas City. Kansas City minus 9.5.
Kansas City's pass defense has been pretty good, but Denver's going to have to be throwing a lot, I think, to keep up in this game. So what do you think here?
I like Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick went over 100 yards again for the second time this season against New England. I like Tim Patrick. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Tim Patrick. Cole Beasley will sit in the zone. He will get you a touchdown. But I'm gonna go with Tim Patrick on that one.
Oh man, and Manny agrees with you on that. So
yeah,
we'll see. Here's another one for you: Gabriel Davis or Devontae Parker as a start sit.
Miami's not playing.
So I think that's an easy question.
Yeah, Gabriel Davis. Yeah, Miami's not playing. Hey, Parker, go and put Gabriel Davis in your lineup quick.
Oh man. So Cole, you like Gabriel Davis a little more than Cole Beasley, is what you're telling me. If you had to
not
pick.
necessarily. Because I like them both, right? And to pick one is kind of weird. But when you don't have John Brown, you got to think that Cole Beasley is going to take over that tight end type of position. And when I say that, I don't mean
like Cole Beasley's playing tight end, but I mean more of a possession. He's going to find the middle of the field. He's going to sit in the zone. He's going to be that security blanket, right? And then Gabriel Davis is going to take over that John Brown type of route where he's going to get in the intermediate passing game, and then definitely a red zone threat. And the reason why I like Gabriel Davis over, what's up, Chris? That's fine. Don't shout out me. Whatever, dude. We're not friends. And the reason why I like Gabriel Davis over Cole Beasley is because Gabriel Davis's height. How aggressive he is in the red zone. There's been multiple plays this season where Gabriel Davis should have had a touchdown, but it was called back, or Gabriel Davis was targeted in the red zone. That's why I like him, because of his potential.
Let me ask you about someone who's has got a bit of good family news over the weekend, and really kind of that enabled him to kind of play in this game, and that's Tyler Kroft. Congrats to Tyler and his wife for their newborn baby Grace. Is Tyler Kroft a guy that maybe in a deep league as a tight end too? Are you potentially using Tyler Kroft in any format this week?
No, I'm not. I'm not starting any of. I'm not starting any of the Bills tight ends. And I do want to apologize to Chris. Chris actually said, "Yo, what's up, Casey, my man?" before he said, "What's up, Silk Money." So I want to apologize for that. But I'm not starting any of Buffalo's tight ends. Not yet, right? I'm just not doing it.
What about Duke Williams? You didn't want to talk about him. Is there any
about Duke Williams? He's not. Look, guys, look. If you come at me about Duke Williams, shut up. Like, I don't care. No, I'm not. I'm not talking Duke Williams. Not even at tight end. He's not playing tight end.
He's not playing tight end. People talk about this all the time. He doesn't practice at tight end. He's never played tight end. Like, I don't understand body wise, I can understand it, but like the fact of the matter is he's not going to play tight end. So I think we could put that to rest. So why don't we spend the last 15 minutes or so here with you to go through the viewers start and sit questions. And I also want to ask you about some of your favorite daily plays and some of your season long plays that you like this week. People having tough lineup decisions this week. Quarterbacks, obviously a big one. People that carry two quarterbacks maybe sometimes are questioning which one. I already asked you about Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. I have another scenario for you that came across where someone wanted to know, should I start Matt Ryan against the Lions or should I start Ryan Tannehill against the Steelers?
That's a good one. That's a really good one because the Steelers have a really, really good defense, but Ryan, I want to say that's going to be a shootout. That's not going to be a defensive game. That's why
Matt Ryan coming off his best game of the year with Julio back. He had 2 duds before that. Tannehill's been good all year.
Sure. Matt Ryan, I don't trust. I like Matt Ryan. I like Matty Ice. He's not the issue in Atlanta. I just don't trust him, right? He was playing a very, very bad Minnesota team. They're worse than people want to be like, oh, they'll get better, blah, blah, blah. No, they're pretty bad team. So I don't trust Atlanta at all. Man, I'm gonna go with Ryan Tannehill. I'm gonna represent Tennessee real quick. I'm gonna go with Ryan Tannehill.
We've got a lot of people saying Matt Ryan in the comments. So your contrarian play is probably a good fade the public, right? Is what they always say. How about this question from Jake? James Robinson, Gio Bernard, Jamal Williams, PPR. We know Joe Mixon's not playing. We know Aaron Jones is likely not to play.
Yeah.
James Robinson's been good all year, a top 10 running back in half and full PPR scoring.
I've always liked Gio, by the way. I've always liked him. His mustache is on point this season. With all that being said, James Robinson.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with James Robinson too. He's just been the guy all year for Jacksonville, and he's put up points every week for them. Gio Bernard.
You're talking about a PPR league. James Robinson's going to get those receptions in passing game. That's going to help tremendously. Gio will too, but James Robinson has been used more effectively.
I agree. And this is Gio's first game in a long time where he's the lead guy. You remember back when they had who was that big pounder they had in Cincinnati when it was him and Gio early on? I can't remember the guy's name. I can't believe I'm blanking on it. But Gio Bernard was always that guy that kind of felt like he should be the guy, but he never really took the reins. But he's just kind of been there in Cincinnati for a long time.
Yep, him and Tyler Eifert got drafted together. They were on Hard Knocks together back in the day when Hard Knocks was featuring them. I've always liked Gio. I'm trying to think of that running back as well. It's killing me.
Yeah, I will. I'm going to look that up while you're taking some of these other questions here because it's really bothering me.
Swift or Motor at running back 2.
Jeremy Hill, that's who I'm thinking of.
Oh, yeah, Jeremy Hill. What happened to Jeremy Hill? Where is he at?
He went to New England, I believe, after he got cut from Cincinnati. But then, yeah, I don't know, man. So, all right.
I always liked him as well.
We got a lot of good questions coming in. Mike Williams for the Chargers or Tim Patrick for
Mike Williams.
Bryson 17. So Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
Casey likes Mike Williams' big playability there. So that's the pick there.
Swift or Motor.
DeAndre Swift or Motor at RB2. That's interesting. DeAndre's coming off a big game last week.
Don't get fooled. Don't get fooled by DeAndre Swift having a busting out a 50-yarder with the Lions last week.
So you like Motor in this one?
I like Motor.
All right, we've got a tight end question: Noah Fant or Darren Waller. I know where I would go with this one. But.
I'm going with my boy, Darren Waller. Love that dude. Love his story. If you don't know his story, go look it up. I'm sure ESPN's has told everybody his story, but Darren Waller all day long.
Yeah, I mean, Darren Waller is a dude that, the Hard Knocks thing really kind of put him on the map, and he delivered on that hype after Hard Knocks. Great season last year. Probably right up there, like honestly, in just that notch below Kelsey and Kittle. He's got to be up there right behind those guys as far as just pure tight ends in the NFL, especially because he's in that same kind of mold right now as the Raiders get some of their guys back from injury. Ruggs came back last week. They're still missing Bryan Edwards, but Waller's really the main target in their passing game, similar to how Kittle is used in San Fran, and Tyreek and Kelsey kind of like are the two alphas in Kansas City. But yeah, Waller is the guy, and he should be a target monster as always. Manny says, "I'm starting Joe Burrow, LOL." And I wonder is this in the Dynasty League? I wonder, does Manny have Joe Burrow?
Yes, he loves Joe Burrow. He loves Joe Burrow so much, but he's taking the Browns -3.
Here's an interesting question where we normally see start questions, but are there any Cardinals you're going to sit against Seattle? Seattle's defense has been really bad this year. Cardinals, Kyler Murray's been inconsistent, but he's put up numbers. He's allowed receivers to kind of put up numbers. Are there any guys? DeAndre's like a little banged up, but it sounds like he's going to play. Is there anybody here on the Cardinals that you're sitting down today?
No, not necessarily. I like Cardinals. In fact, Chris, I've got Arizona +3, +3.5. I'm trying to think of that spread off the top of my head, but I've got them. I like them. The passing game is
+3.5. Yep.
Yeah,
Cardinals.
the passing game is weak, but that's fine. They'll get it together. They've got a really good quarterback down there in Kyler Murray. He'll get it together. Ricardo right underneath Chris said Tom Brady over Tannehill. No, boo. Boo, Tom Brady. No, I'm really not taking Tom Brady over Ryan Tannehill this week. I'm taking Ryan Tannehill. This might be the game where Tannehill has to win it himself. This might be it. So I'm going to take Tannehill.
Are people potentially going to be disappointed by Tom Brady's passing numbers this week, even though the Las Vegas matchup does seem like a decent matchup for them? I mean, he's coming off a huge game against Green Bay.
Now, hold up now. Look. I get that he had a good game against Green Bay, but it's kind of easy to have a good game against Green Bay when your defense got you like 3 picks, and then your running back is running pretty good. So it's pretty easy to do that. So I'm not in on Tom. Tom Brady has not been a good fantasy quarterback in about 3 years. I said it. Now, with all these pieces that he's starting to get, such as AB, and he's starting to get his wide receivers healthy, he might be there, but does he honestly have to do much when it comes to anything? When you have a solid defense, a good run game, this is probably the best skill position players he's ever had in his whole career. So He doesn't have to do much. So, but we get into Bryson's comment, Hawkinson or Jimmy Graham. I actually like Hawkinson a little bit more than Jimmy Graham going up against Atlanta.
Hawkinson's actually been pretty steady this year. If you go and look at his box scores, I mean, he kind of like rookie tight ends. Obviously, it's kind of like a stigma. Last year, he had like that one huge game early in the season, then kind of didn't do a ton. He was injured as well, but he was a guy that like flashed a lot last year when he did play. And I mean, I like what I've seen from Hawkinson this year. Stafford's trusting him, and the volume I think for Hawkinson's going to be there more so than for Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, and I don't trust the Bears offense right now. They need to actually trade for Sam Darnold, maybe throw in a 2 and then a 5th and get Sam Darnold. Chris Jenkins says Tyler Boyd or Marvin Jones. Tyler Boyd, all day long.
Let me ask you this about the Bengals offense this week, right? Marvin Jones has in my mind always been a criminally underrated receiver for the Lions. He's a very good yards per catch type guy.
He hasn't been doing good this year.
He hasn't been great this year, but Tyler Boyd is more of a volume guy, not necessarily a big play guy. But is there any concern that, like, we assume the Bengals are going to have to throw a lot today, but is there any concern that Tyler Boyd's volume might take a hit with the fact that AJ Green's back, T. Higgins is getting involved now, and Tyler Boyd is there? Or is there enough wealth to spread around there with that passing game because the Bengals are likely to be throwing a lot?
But yeah, there's enough wealth. I mean, AJ Green's a non-factor. Let's be real. Auden Tate, when is he going to get back? I like Auden Tate better than I like T. Higgins. But that has nothing to do with me being a Florida State fan. No, there's going to be enough targets for Tyler Boyd. I'm starting Tyler Boyd right now.
Let me ask you off the top of my head question here. Pick one of these 3 guys to start today. Deontay Johnson, coming off the back injury. He's playing. He's not on the injury report, but we've seen what Chase Claypool has done recently. Laviska Shenault for Jacksonville, who's been pretty steady the last couple of weeks and getting that 5 to 6 catch range, or AJ Green. Who do you like out of those 3 guys?
Like, I have to start one?
Yeah, you have to start one.
I don't get the hype over Deontay Johnson. He had one really big game, 23 points, and then he had like a 9-pointer, and then a couple other, and everybody's like, oh, he's the greatest wide receiver in the world when it comes to fantasy. I'm starting him. It's like, bro, he had one good game, and you got the hype. Shenault, I haven't really kept up with him a lot in fantasy. I watched one game, and that was the Indiana game, where he actually did pretty good. They were utilizing him in the run game and all that good stuff. And then we start talking to AJ Green. AJ Green's retired already. When he's on the field, he looks like he's retired already, right? I'm not and that makes me sad, guys. I don't know if y'all knew this. When I was younger, AJ Green was my favorite player. Like, I loved AJ Green. But to see him give up, like, on a route, like, constantly, it's a little upsetting. So I'm probably going to go with Shenault.
Yeah, to answer Manny's question, yes, AJ Green is playing. He had like 6 for close to 100 last week in the game. So I think that's why people are kind of like maybe doing a wait and see.
He's not a wide receiver you should be picking up on fantasy football anymore.
All right, here's a tough one. Bottom of the barrel options here, I would imagine. Are you starting Andy Dalton or are you starting Baker Mayfield? So Baker,
I'm not starting Baker.
You're gonna go with Andy Dalton against the Washington football team over
Yes,
Baker.
I am. Yes, I am. 100%. CeeDee Lamb is still a beast. You still got Gallup, still a beast. I'm gonna go Andy Dalton. And that he had his first game as a starter. We all know that's gonna be iffy as it is. So I'm thinking his second game is gonna be a little bit more comfortable. He is touted as the best backup in the league.
For a reason, right?
So prove it, right?
He didn't. Yeah, I mean, that Arizona game was rough. Obviously, Zeke had the 2 fumbles early on and
they scored 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, yeah.
It's hard to put that all on Dalton. He did also have a Gallup dropped a touchdown right before the half in the end zone. So I don't think Dalton's as bad as as the box score showed last week against Arizona. So we'll see. Washington's front is actually pretty good. I think Dallas's offensive line's banged up, so we'll see if that plays a factor. But yeah, I mean, Baker's very hard to trust in fantasy. I mean, it's just very hard to trust.
I used to like Baker. I did.
I mean, I got him on my dynasty team, so I have no choice but to start him. And not to digress too much, but man, he is so up and down. Like the Dallas game, you were like, oh, okay, maybe he's turned a corner, and then just goes back to being terrible. So
it makes me sad.
All right, Casey, before you go, I want you to give
before
you dip, I want you to give the viewers another reminder where they can listen to your fantasy and follow you on Action Network. And also, I want you to give me your number 1 deep sleeper play, whether it's daily or season long, play this week. Any position, go.
Are we talking fantasy? We're talking gambling.
Fantasy.
Oh, we're talking fantasy. All right. So first off, you can find me and Manny on Saturdays. Every Saturday, we launch on Apple, Spotify, wherever you can find us, and that's Buff City Podcast. So just type in Buff City, and we'll pop up. It's a nice little pink and purple little picture. What I would like y'all to do, if you're listening on Apple, I would love for y'all to go and review and subscribe. What we are doing, me and Manny, I kind of hit him with this surprisingly, but he didn't say no to it. But what we are doing is, if you review, you like, you subscribe to us, and you leave me a funny comment. I'm talking funny comment, right? Like somebody actually on in the review said, I actually hate Casey, but this is a good podcast. Like, I laughed at that. I think that's funny. If you go and you review, you subscribe to it, and you leave a funny comment, I and Manny will pick the funniest comment. We'll actually send you some Buffalo Fanatics gear, right? We'll send you anything that you want. Don't put up Nap Show, but we'll send you anything that you want from BuffaloFanatics.com. We'll send you that, but it's got to be a funny comment. And then after that, follow me on Action Network. So what the Action Network is, that's where all my picks go. Me and Manny are both on there. My picks are on there. They pop up on Wednesday. I've got them all the way on there. The cool thing about Action Network is, for one, I'm verified. Two, you can actually see if you're winning or losing. So if you work like I do today, you can open the app real quick, see if it's green, see if it's red. If it's green, you're winning. If it's red, you're losing.
It's a great app. It really is. I love the app.
It is. You can just really quickly pop in there. Okay, I'm winning all my bets because I'm awesome. Swipe out of it, get back to work, right? That's what I like about it. And then after that, when you start talking about a season-long play for fantasy, that's a good question.
Like, who is someone no one's talking about that, like, we should put into our lineups today? Because I think maybe Gabriel Davis is the guy, but, like, is there another guy maybe that we aren't talking about that we should put into our lineups?
We're sitting there talking about off the top of my head. I don't know. Like, I like Gabriel Davis. So I feel like that's a cop-out because I'll talk about Gabriel Davis constantly. But I feel like he is underrated. I feel like Tyler
I'm going to give you a name.
Also underrated.
I'm going to give you one name who I think's underrated today. That I think is going to have a good game, and I think I'm gonna say I think Hunter Henry for the Chargers is going to have a big day today. He's due for a breakout, so you can save the receipts if I'm wrong, but I think Hunter Henry's going to have a big game today.
My issue with Hunter Henry is his drops. I think the talent is there, but Justin Herbert was putting the ball in his hand, literally in his hands during the.
They've had a bye week to sort it out. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I like that. I like Hunter Henry just because I like the matchup for the Chargers this week. I think that Jacksonville is a team that's been abused all year. I think he's going to have a chance for some volume. But anyway,
Ryan Tunyon.
There you go.
Ryan Tunyon.
Tight end. Manny says Henry Ruggs. It's not a great matchup for Ruggs, I will say. But hey, he doesn't
have an offensive line to help him get
that two for 118 he had last game before the bye might not be repeatable. All right, Casey. I'm gonna bid you adieu now. I really appreciate it. Follow Casey. He's going to be on Twitter before the games. I'm sure he's going to be interacting with everyone, talking about fantasy.
Yeah.
So. And actually, while we're at it, I'll go ahead and put up the logo again. To join the BF text club, all you have to do is text this number here, and you can get into direct conversation with Pierre, with Rico, with Bobby. All of these guys are there to answer your questions. So make sure you do that and get that personal touch that you've all been waiting for. So I am now joined, look at that transition, by the chief himself, Adam Nannini, our Buffalo Fanatics editor-in-chief, and the man who just grinds it out every week with article after article, Thursday Thought, Madden previews, Madden recaps, the shining star of many of the blog team at Buffalo Fanatics, Mitchell Broder. Adam and Mitch, welcome to the Tailgate. How are you guys doing this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm very happy to be joined by Mitch. He is, you're right, he is Mr. Consistent. We love that about him. He's the dude, man. So And he always puts out great pieces. Check him out at thebuffalofanatics.com. Mitch always puts out something on Thursday at least, so make sure you check out his stuff.
Mitch is wearing that Penn State hat proudly today, I see.
Trying, man. That was definitely a tough one. Waiting months to get Big Ten football back, and season already feels like it's over.
That's
for us.
That's the tough thing about college, man. That one
Yeah.
game kind of just can ruin it all, but it's also kind of fun at the same time. So I know last time the three of us got together, we kind of did an around the NFL, but I'm gonna narrow that down a little bit today for this 30 minutes we've got with you guys, and we're gonna do a little around the AFC East to just kind of see where things stand right now, with the Bills kind of sitting out in front of the division right now. So quick recap of where we sit right now in the division. The Bills are 4-2 atop the division. The Dolphins, surprisingly, in second, maybe not surprisingly to some, at 3-3. Pats down there at 2-3, have already had their bye. And obviously the Bills' opponent today, the Jets, they're at 0-6. So Mitch, let's start with you. Through 6 games, what to you stands out as the biggest surprise in this division so far in 2020?
I think the biggest surprise to me has been, I think, the Miami Dolphins. And I know that, 3-3 is nothing too crazy, but it kind of seems like that they do have a shot to at least contend for the AFC East, which, coming into the season, I personally did not think was going to happen. So I've been shocked with them. And, honestly, how well they've played at times. I mean, they absolutely destroyed San Francisco a couple of weeks ago. So I've been impressed with them.
Well, let me ask you this then. With Miami at 3-3, they're only one game back. Obviously, the Bills beat them already once head-to-head. So the Bills kind of have that sort of 2-game, if you will, lead, that intrinsic 2-game lead. Is it a surprise to you with Miami kind of contending, at least on the surface, that they made the move to go to Tua?
Oh, yeah. I was so shocked by that. And it's not like I don't think Tua is going to be good, because I think he's got such a bright future. But Fitzpatrick's playing, pretty well for them. And it just seemed like there was really no need to make this move yet. They were winning. He was playing at a pretty high level. And ultimately, we're talking about a guy who, just dislocated his hip a year ago. And tossing him into, NFL action a little prematurely, I'm not going to lie. If I were a Dolphins fan, I would be a little concerned. I mean, it's certainly exciting. You want to see what the kids got. But I don't know if I would have made that move if I was, Brian Flores personally, because ultimately, season's not lost for them. They're right in the thick of things. So
right.
I was shocked by it.
Adam, what do you think about this Tua situation in Miami?
Well, I hate to say it, but I think it was the right move. Listen, on an emotional level, I love Fitzy as much as anybody. I've got 3 of Fitzy's jerseys in my closet right now. Okay.
You didn't switch him over to Stephon Diggs' name?
No. I don't do that. The thing is, it was the right move. As much as Fitzy, the thing is, what Fitzy brings to the Dolphins and to any team is immeasurable. It's the juice he brings, and it's that leadership. It's the excitement. It's something I'd like to see out of Josh Allen this week. Honestly, I'd like to see a little juice. But let's face it. I mean, Fitzy's had good halves, good quarters, but he's got 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He is giving the ball away. They whipped the Jets last week, but he threw 2 picks. No, I mean, I think it was the right move. Tua's got to get in there. I like Tua. I look forward to what he's going to do. The NFL is better when Fitzy is playing. I love that guy. But I do think it was the right move during the bye week. I wonder what would have happened if Miami had their original bye week. In terms of surprising things in the AFC East, I'll tell you this. I'm going to piggyback off what Mitch said, which I think he's right. I think Miami has the best defense in the division, and I think the Bills might have the worst. That's the most surprising thing.
I don't think you're wrong with that, by the way. I do think the Bills have the worst defense as of now. And I want to talk to you, too, a little bit about New England, because I know you had picked New England to win the division before the season started. Obviously, there's a long way to go. New England, maybe to some, obviously to many, given the spread, a surprising loss last week to Denver. Sitting there at 2-3, kind of a little bit, not their backs against the wall, but, I mean, they've got a very winnable game today. They're playing the Niners, who are banged up. Obviously, it's been noted that defense has taken a ton of injuries. Miami's beaten the Niners. New England's at home. And then the Bills have New England on tap after this week. So what do you think about New England so far this year, Adam? Because I know this was a team that you kind of had said, hey, let's wait a minute, we haven't taken the Kings down yet. We still got to beat them. They're sitting there at 2-3, which is obviously music to Bills fans' ears, but they're not out of it, are they?
No, of course not. In fact, look, New England still plays the Jets twice and the Bills twice. And those are two teams they've dominated for the past couple decades.
Right.
Now, can we change that narrative? For sure. But I'm not, giving that to the Bills or the Jets, given especially when the Bills have come up against really good competition this year. They've struggled. I mean, yes, they beat the Rams and they beat the Raiders, but, they still struggled. It was not easy wins. They weren't dominating. I'd like to see them come out and dominate today to make a statement that they can do that. Because, look, even the first time they played the Jets this year, they didn't dominate. This is an 0-6 team. So I'm still standing by that New England pick. I think New England has a way of turning things around. Don't be surprised if their players in the trade market, because they cleared up a lot of cap space at the beginning of the year with all the COVID people out. So watch out for them. Don't discount them. I know they're 2-3, but man, they've been 2-3 before, and don't or they've started the year bad before, I should say, and watch out for them.
Yeah, September and October. If you want to talk about a team who's had a ton of success over 20 years, and if there's one hole you can kind of poke in the armor, it's that their September and October record tends to be where where they've struggled, but they've always picked it up November, December, later in the season. We'll see if they can continue to do that. I want to get back to a comment you made a few minutes ago about the juice, and that juice that Fitzmagic brings to the Dolphins, and the juice that maybe, it sounds like, Adam, what you're saying is maybe been lacking out of Josh Allen the last couple games. So what does Josh Allen need to do to juice up this team? Because we've seen him do it. Like, he's got it in him. Is it just like the weird schedule that maybe threw our guys off track? We're back in our kind of comfort zone of the 1 p.m. maybe, but I want to know what is it? What can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, he's got he gets compared to Cam Newton a lot. And in this way, he's also like Cam Newton. When he's playing well, when the team is playing well, he brings juice. When they're not, yes, he's a comeback kid. He's had a lot of great comebacks, but right now he's looking flat. And you look at him on the sideline, his head's down. He's looking at the tablet. He's not, getting in his guys' faces. We saw a couple weeks ago him shaking hands at the end of the game, but that was after it was already decided. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see him bring juice during the game, when they're seeing some struggles, and usually he brings it with his play, and that's like the Dallas game, for example, last year,
right,
on Thanksgiving. But I don't want to see him turn to Cam Newton where when things go bad, he goes down. And he's got to get his head up. He's got to realize everybody's looking to him. So he's got to bring some juice. He should watch some Fitzy tape, not during the game, but what he does between plays and on the sideline.
Mitch, do you agree with that? Do you think Josh has been lacking some juice lately?
I mean, I think you could certainly make the argument. I mean, frankly, the whole team's been lacking juice for now 2 straight weeks. Honestly, I mean, I've thought that the play on, both sides of the ball has just been so flat during this kind of losing streak. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to see Josh Allen maybe a little bit more fired up too. I mean, I don't think that it's not like, he isn't a competitor and doesn't want to win, but, I think for him, it's more just kind of demoralizing for him when he's missing throws he knows he needs to make. And I think I don't say it gets in his head a little bit, but it definitely gets to him to a degree. He's not quite the same quarterback when he's, on fire like he was at the end of that Miami game, where it seemed like he couldn't do anything wrong, So, I think that him and this whole team just needs to come out today and really, bring it. Because frankly, for 2 weeks, they just don't look like they haven't been really focused and there mentally, during these games. So they need to come out and just be a lot more focused, and Josh Allen included.
So I want to ask you guys something. This is something that's been talked a lot about in the history of football, right? As long as I've been watching it, football being a momentum game, momentum being on your side, and things going well, and kind of gets that snowball effect, right? Is Josh Allen, in your minds, and Adam, I'll start with you on this one. Is Josh Allen a momentum quarterback? Is he a guy that if things are going well, he plays better and it's easier for him, and when things are going poorly, it's really hard for him to recover? It's I kind of liken it to, I don't know if you guys play golf, but like when you're playing well in golf, it's like things just start clicking. You're not thinking about your swing. You're just hitting the ball. But when things are going bad, you're in your head. You're having committee meetings up here. It's the last thing you want to be doing. Is that what Josh is, or is it kind of, are we being unfair to say that he's a momentum quarterback?
He's absolutely a momentum quarterback. I mean, particularly at the beginning of the games, you see him start slow sometimes, and when he starts slow, he starts really slow. He's got to, get some catches, out. He's got to get hit. He's got to do certain things, and that's up to Dayball. Dayball's got to help him out with that momentum, and our guys got to stop dropping the effing ball. I don't play golf, but I played basketball in high school, and I played a lot of basketball, and I do understand
as a shooter, I guess, right? Like maybe there's
you've got to see the ball go in. You've got to believe it. If you're saying I've got to make this next shot, you're going to miss. Don't miss. And that's the thing. I think Allen, you see it in his head sometimes. Don't miss this throw. And I'll tell you, his footwork has been really off the last 2 weeks. Teams have the book on him a little bit. They're pressuring him and forcing him to his left, and he's not doing well with it. Part of that is the offensive game plan. They've got to adjust. The offensive line has to play better. But I think when he's missing those throws, he's struggling and he's getting in his own head. He's a smart kid. I think sometimes being a smart player hurts you. I think when you could, I think some of the best quarterbacks, if you met them, you'd be like, well, this guy's, he's not Einstein. It's because, they can get rid of things and they're just, they can focus on the game. Allen's smart and sometimes he's too smart and he's got to calm down and the team has to help him. So I think he's definitely a momentum quarterback and it's up to Dayball to get him going.
Now, Mitch, on that note, Adam's saying Allen's a smart quarterback, and I would agree. Is there a level of frustration, you think, when you know what you're supposed to do, mechanically how you're supposed to kind of set, what you're supposed to do through your reads, and you just don't execute? Is that potentially kind of the crux of this whole frustration maybe we've seen out of him over the last couple games?
I think it definitely could be. I mean, I think we saw, right away in that, Kansas City game. I mean, he's got that easy throw to Beasley right out of the gate, completely missed it. And you could see it right in his face immediately that he was, mad at himself for just not putting that throw where it needed to be. And so I think that, for him, I mean, we've seen it in the past. I mean, and it's just, he's just a competitor. The guy just wants to win at such a high level. But I think that, it does definitely get to him when he makes some bad throws, misses some ones he really needs to hit. But I think the best way to combat that, honestly, is just to get some easy throws early in the game. Get some screens, get something just quick, over the middle. Because I found.
But it seemed like that Beasley throw was an easy throw.
I know. Yeah. Oh, I know. But I'm more just saying, like, I think this has been my only criticism of Daboll since he's gotten to Buffalo is I think a lot of times we've seen the offense take a while to get moving in the passing offense. And I think that, Allen did miss that, short one to Beasley, but then every other throw after that, was down the field, pushing the ball, and I think that sometimes, Allen might have missed a layup, but in order to get him, like you said, shooters need to see the ball, sometimes go in the hoop. Sometimes you just got to keep on just trying to get those short, easy completions just to get them in a rhythm. But, I think, though, that these misses do definitely get to him sometimes. I think we've seen it during these two games. We've seen it in the past.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, one thing Dayball has to do, I mean, defenses are taking advantage of our turnstile offensive line right now, and Dayball needs to see that. And one thing Allen's really good at is the no huddle. He's got to be able to utilize that at any point in the game to get Allen going. He's good at that. It gets him moving, and it puts defenses on their heels. It puts us on as the aggressor. And I know at times we're trying to hold the ball like against Kansas City. That's fine. Now, I understand the game plan. But Dayball's got to be better at adjusting and take some drives and just be like, look, we're marching down the field, no huddle, and we're just rolling. And I think that'd be really smart. And unfortunately, I'm not seeing enough out of that from Dayball.
Does this comment from DW Cromartie hold water? Because I think it does. The defense not performing is putting too much pressure on the offense to score every time. Maybe we see the opposite of that last year where there was pressure on the offense to score, but they knew that they had that defense that was going to bail them out 9 out of 10 times. Not so much this year, right? I mean, this defense is not bailing anybody out this year. This really is a 180 in my mind from last year. This offense is carrying the load. So is that part of this too, Mitch? Is that kind of adding to the burden on Josh's shoulders, the defense not performing well, and is he feeling that pressure?
I mean, I think it definitely could be. I mean, as a fan watching the game, that's at least how I feel. I feel like we're like a Big 12 team all of a sudden where, we punt 3 times, we're in trouble. Like, so it's definitely, I think, I don't see how it can't, how it hasn't put more pressure on this offense and on Allen's shoulders because, I mean, frankly put, I mean, this defense has not stopped really anybody unless you want to, consider the New York Jets, somebody. So, I mean, I think that, it's definitely, I'm sure Allen has to feel it, that if they don't score, 3-4 touchdowns a game, I mean, it's not, as of right now, it doesn't feel like, the Bills have the best chance of winning, which is, if we said this a year ago, I'm sure we'd, find that crazy. So yeah, it has to, because this offense, like you said, or excuse me, this defense, like you said, is just taking a complete, 180 from being a dominant unit to a basement unit. So I think it definitely has put more pressure on Allen and the offense.
I mean, I think that it's interesting, right? Because before the season, we said if this team scores 24 points a game, we're going to win a ton of games. Now it feels like we got to score like 28, 30 points a game. So as we kind of start talking about today's game with the Jets, like people want to say, oh, is this a get right spot for the Bills? This is a chance for the defense to, be in a good spot, get back. But honestly, like we've got a ton of injuries still. We don't know if Milano's going to play or not yet. The inactive list is going to come out in about 10 minutes. And I haven't been on Twitter, so I don't know what's trending right now as far as Milano. I mean, seems like Trey's going to play. The cornerback position's beat up. Josh Norman's already been ruled out. Looks like the Jets are going to get Denzel Mims for the first time today. They got Brashard Perryman. Obviously, Crowder being out is a big loss for them. He's killed us in the past, at least in the last year plus. And they've got Perryman and Mims now with Darnold also back. So is there a reason to be concerned that this Jets passing game could actually move the ball pretty effectively against this Bills defense? Mitch, let's start with you on this one.
I think that there could be a little bit concerned because ultimately, even though the Jets, as we've seen, Gase is not a very good coach, their team's not very good as a whole, but Darnold has had some huge games in the past. I mean, I think it was his rookie year. I mean, he torched the Packers for like 350 yards to the air and beat Rodgers. So he's got it in him to play up to big time, games and up to big opponents. Of course, that's not, you can't always, believe that's going to happen. But I think that, listen, if Joe Flacco were under center today, I'd feel a little bit better about this game for sure. But with Darnold, I think you have to have some level of concern. It's, this is not going to be, I don't think, a stroll in the park for our defense because, frankly, like I've been saying, really no offense has been a stroll in the park for our defense this season. So, I think Bills fans should be just a little concerned. You can't act like it's nothing because, Darnold has it in him to really play up to a big game.
And Adam, you said the Bills might have the worst defense in the division. So I want to ask you the same question. Is there a concern with Darnold back with Perryman and Mims being active for his first game in Herndon? Is there a concern? And should we be concerned about Frank Gore and LaMichael Pirine even running the ball on this team? Because we've been, by design, it was communicated that we were kind of trying to play coverage against the Chiefs, and we were going to try to limit the damage on the ground. 2 games prior to that, we held Derrick Henry pretty well in check, under 60 yards. We held Josh Jacobs under 50 yards. So do you have any concerns about the Bills, 1, being able to stop the run, and 2, Darnold in this passing game?
Absolutely. Last time we dominated this Jets team was with Matt Barkley under center, okay? This is not, division opponents are always tough. And the Bills do not have a way to just go. Right now, they're not showing the ability to just go and dominate. And they need to do that. This is a statement game. And, of course, I'm worried about this defense, although they're not even the worst unit on the field. The offensive line has been the worst unit on the Bills.
It's true.
But the thing is, this has to be a statement game. And we've got to see the defense, just like on the offense with Allen, bring some juice. One of the issues I have with Tremaine Edmonds as a leader is, his play has been questionable. He's been banged up, but he's not a vocal leader. I think Milano brings a lot of juice the way he plays, and I think missing him has been hurting. And when Trey White plays, I don't remember the last time I saw him dancing. Do you? It's been a little while. So
back's hurting him, I guess. He can't dance.
Yeah, I think this could be something that will linger all season. This could be dangerous with Trey White, and we need to think about possibly making a move at the trade deadline. That's a question. But yes, of course, I'm worried about this Jets team. Now, I don't think their running game is going to, come out and, dominate us like, the Chiefs did. But I need to see something from this Bills team. I need to see something on third down. Because,
that's true. Yes.
We're letting up 3rd and 12s and stuff like that. That's inexcusable. And so.
Did you see this? There was a statistic out there where it was 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 12 and longer. Like teams were like 75% converting it against the Bills or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but it was something like that. Yeah. And to kind of piggyback off of what you said about Edmonds, Heather here says Edmonds needs Milano to be effective. They play off each other. We talk a lot about Poyer and Hyde playing off each other, but is this a real thing now? Like, is Milano being out? We've talked about this. Is it really affecting Edmonds' play that much to the point where like Edmonds needs Milano in the lineup to actually be a good player, or can he be a good player on his own?
Sorry about that. Well, can I quick answer this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's very much like Carolina, Kuechly and Thomas Davis. I said for years Thomas Davis was the better linebacker. People kind of came at me. I understand it. But if you watch who was the first guy to, be hitting people, it was very much like Milano, and it's a very similar situation. They do work in tandem. Edmonds has not played like Kuechly. I'm not saying that. And he's certainly shown a lot of struggles this year with gap integrity, getting taken off. He can't get out of blocks and whatever. But, you look at Milano, he's like Thomas Davis when Davis was playing great. And so you need both of them to play for them to be successful.
Yeah, Mitch, any thoughts on the Milano Edmonds sort of, connection here, playing off each other? Are we reading too much into the Milano injury, or is this is he really the guy? Like all along, has he been the guy, even though Edmonds put up that Pro Bowl season last year?
I think that we've learned this year that Milano's importance to this defense is clearly, it can't really be stated enough. To me, the biggest thing that I've seen, really take a dip is, if you watch, Tyrell Dodson or AJ Klein, that that backdoor pursuit on run plays, the edge has just been non-existent. And Milano's someone who's so quick, who can just shoot through some gaps, get in the backfield. But when you're watching, Edmonds, Dodson, AJ Klein, you just see them just always just right in the, always, getting blocked out, out of the play. So I think that, Milano is in run support has been something that I think people didn't realize how important he was until now, because as a coverage linebacker, he's been excellent since his rookie season. But I think everyone kind of assumed because he was a smaller linebacker, he can't do much in the run game. But clearly, he's been a humongous loss in that aspect for the defense. So I think similar to Hyde and Poyer, I think they do play off each other. I think they both do things a little differently, and together it works. But ultimately, I don't think that they clearly don't really have a backup who can really do the same things Milano can. And it's clearly, I think, affecting Edmonds because he's just not been at all the player that he was even really last season. It's not the same, guy that we saw kind of emerging to a star.
Yeah. And Edmonds is still very young, 22. He's going through that shoulder injury right now, which has been well documented that he's still playing through something there. And I think personally that's a mental hurdle he's not cleared yet. Fully trusting that shoulder, potentially slowing him down and diagnosing because he's worrying about that shoulder, worrying about sticking his head in there. So that could be a factor as well. And it's funny because we are banged up everywhere, right? Defensive line, honestly, is probably our healthiest group right now. And they've maybe been the most disappointing group of the defense because there were such high hopes, at least from me, from this unit coming in. It's like, I maybe nonchalantly downplayed the losses of Jordan Phillips, Shaq Lawson, but honestly, Shaq Lawson against the run, we know how good he was there. Jordan Phillips, debatable whether or not we're really missing him that much because he wasn't a great run defender. But to get to Adam's point, we're missing juice everywhere right now on this defense, and it's not like you said, it's not just Josh Allen. The defense as a whole is missing a ton of juice, and it's kind of a shame because we've got a defensive-minded head coach like McDermott and Leslie Frazier, a former head coach. You would think there'd be some juice there. So before I let you guys go, I want to ask you both the same question. Actually, no, I'm going to ask you a different question. Mitch, I'm going to ask you and I hate to give you the negative one, but I'm going to ask you the negative one. What would it take for the Jets to win today? How do the Jets win today?
I think that the Jets win today if the Bills make a ton of mistakes. I mean, ultimately, I witnessed it yesterday, with Penn State versus Indiana, right? My Nittany Lions, how they lose, they turned the ball over, they had a ton of penalties, they missed some kicks, and that's how you let teams that you're better than, hang around. So if the Bills are making a lot of mental mistakes, Jets can, the Jets could stay in this game, which, as if it's a close game at the fourth quarter, anything can happen. I mean, it's got to be a mix of that, and it's got to be Sam Darnold. He's going to have to play a big-time game, I think, if they want to win. I don't really think that Jets run game, despite how bad the Bills' run defense has been, is really going to do much. Kalen Ballage and Frank Gore and P. Ryan, isn't exactly scaring, anybody. So it's going to come down to Darnold, making plays with, Mims and Perryman back in the lineup, and the Bills, they're going to have to make some mistakes in order for the Jets to stay around. So that would be the two things I would say.
Okay, Adam, flip side. For the Bills to win convincingly in style today, what needs to happen?
They need to dictate the turns to the Jets. They need to put the Jets on their heels on both offense and defense. That means they've got to be fast on offense. They've got to get that run game going somehow, some way. And the defense, I'd like to see them blitz more. I don't care what they have to do. Be more creative. Bring some different packages. Look, we're hurt. We're banged up in the back end, which means we've got to get to the quarterback faster. Our one thing about Milano is we're missing that A-gap blitz that he's so good at. I think you kind of referenced that, Mitch, about in how he can squirt through the line in run game, but he's also great as a blitzer. We've got to see a little bit more out of that. I'd like to see Dotson maybe. Well, no, Dotson's hurt. But some sort of like linebacker blitz or maybe some slot corner blitz. I'd like to see maybe Poyer play a little bit more all over the field. But we've got to put the Jets on the defensive, put them on their heels, get some sacks, and force them to play the way we want to play. That's going to be the key, I think, to today's game.
I like it. So before you guys go, I want score predictions from each of you. Adam, score prediction from you in this game.
I'm going to take the Bills, but I'm going to say 24-20, and that's not going to make me very happy.
Mitch?
I'm going to go with a pretty similar score to week one. I'm going Buffalo winning this game, but I'm going about 28-17, I think.
2017. Okay, so you got them covering the 10. That's solid.
I'm covering, but it won't be a pretty, cover, I'll say. It's going to be, maybe not the prettiest of games from Buffalo, but, I think they'll cover.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys, as always, for joining. When we come back from the next break, we're going to go through the inactive lists right away. Judge and I will be back together. So, Adam, Mitch, always appreciate you guys coming on. Really love the insight. Thank you both. Take care. All right, so everyone, like we said last time at the break, if you want to join the BF Text Club and talk to the founders, you want to talk to or you want to talk to Bobby, you want to know what's going on, any time of day, 24/7 access to Buffalo Fanatics, you can text, build that personal relationship with us here, because that's what we're all about. We're all about that fan engagement, and we want you guys to be a part of everything we do. So text club at 716-219-0086. And now I am going to be rejoined by none other than the man himself, Mr.
Hey-o.
Mathis.
What's going on, man?
Here he is.
Yeah, fixed it up here.
It's good to see you, man. That's a nice new mic you got there.
Good to be back. Had a nice new microphone. Had a little time to set it up. Well, I've actually had this thing sitting off to the side for about 3 weeks, and I finally had a chance to set it up during my little hiatus there.
Did you get a little breakfast in the last?
Yeah, I actually did. I went. The fiance made some nice poached eggs. We sat outside. I set up the TV. I set up the TV outside. I'll be watching the Bills game outside today, but it appears the inactive list just came in.
It is, and there's some interesting ones on here.
Yeah, there is some interesting ones on it. Obviously, looking it over, and I'll update the banner in a second. We got Jake Fromm, which to be expected. TJ Yeldon. I thought there was a chance that TJ Yeldon could be activated today, and the Bills could roll with 3 running backs. They did not, which means Duke Williams will be playing.
Yes.
John Brown, Dawson Knox, Lee Smith to be expected. Cody Ford to be expected. Josh Norman to be expected. And then Harrison Phillips is out for the Buffalo Bills. So it's again the Justin Zimmer show. I was kind of hoping Phillips would be active today. And here's why. I was kind of hoping the Buffalo Bills would add some more beef to the interior. And the thing that I'm struggling with is we want to look at the edge rushers and be like, well, it's the edge rushers' fault. Like it's Trent Murphy's fault. It's Daryl Johnson's fault. It's Jerry Hughes' fault. No, it's not even Ed Oliver or Quentin Jefferson's fault. Like Quentin Jefferson and Ed Oliver played a majority of the game against the Kansas City Chiefs, rotating at one tech. Ed Oliver was playing a lot of that Kansas City game at one tech. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I would like to see it like a wave of Vernon Butler, Harrison Phillips, and Justin Zimmer at that one tech. And let's free up Justin Jefferson and Ed Oliver to do what they're supposed to do. And that is get after the quarterback. Someone says Judge Zimmer brings more beef. Yeah, you know who they played Justin Zimmer with last game? Vernon Butler. Justin Zimmer was on the field with Vernon Butler. It wasn't like Justin Zimmer was on the field with Ed Oliver or Quentin Jefferson last game. Right. So to me, it boggles my mind at this point what the Buffalo Bills are doing at one tech. I can't.
You know what I compare it to, kind of, and I know you're a big Sabres guy, even and a hockey guy, but it's like it feels to me, and I saw this, all the time with Brenda Moore coaching the Canes down here. It's like, and Paul Maurice in the old days with the Canes. It's like they're trying to find this like combination, these line combinations that work, and like they just none of them are gelling the right way. And I see it as like it's a fine line between how much time do you give, because right now you have no time because you're going game to game. Like there's no training, there's no preseason anymore, right? Like you didn't have preseason to figure out these line combinations. So I feel like the Bills are trying to figure out these line combinations on the fly to just try to find something that works. And you're right. I think Zimmer and Butler, like that combination, the intent I think was to have that beef, right? And it didn't work, right? Like it just didn't work. Like you need the combination. You need someone at that one technique who is going to eat up two guys from time to time. And the fact of the matter is when offensive linemen don't have to double team you as a guy that's supposed to be this big beefy guy, then the likes of Ed Oliver and Quentin Jefferson have a very hard time getting into the backfield. So I'm with you. It's tough, but I just wonder if it's just the personnel we have is just not getting it done.
We got a question here from Buffalo Fanatics. It says Ronald Jones or Motor in fantasy. I mean, we just got done talking about the defensive line. The trenches for the Buffalo Bills are really where they're struggling right now. Like they're struggling to enforce their will on the interior of the defensive line, and they're struggling to enforce their will on the interior of the offensive line.
I'm sorry,
Mitch Morse aside, like who's starting at left guard today? I don't know. And Brian Winters is starting at right guard. He sucks. We cut Quentin Spain, despite the fact that he was our best interior offensive lineman, to start saving some money for 2021 when the salary cap is going to be lower. So, Ronald Jones until Motor, and not I shouldn't even say Motor because I made this point. I talked about this a little bit on my podcast this week, The Take, which drops on our Bills Guys RSS feed. Pretty much whenever I feel like recording.
Shameless.
Pretty much whenever, like there's no day. It's pretty much whenever I feel like recording.
Whenever you're heated.
If ever I feel the need or the motivation to pick up a microphone and start talking into it, I'm going to drop it on the Bills Guys RSS feed. We got that luxury now. Buffalo Fanatics has given us this freedom. But it's like this interior offensive line, is it even the running back's fault? Like, I don't think –
Casey and I were talking about that.
Yeah.
It's not.
I don't think it is.
I was saying Devin Singletary – for as many yards as many runs as he's taken losses on, I'm saying, look, that guy can make anybody miss in a phone booth. And the fact of the matter is like Devin Singletary, honestly, might be the reason that we don't have a lower yards per carry average than we do right now, because he's got to be thinking in his head, like, I got to make every freaking guy miss that I come across because no one's blocking for me. So maybe he's pressing a little to try to make a big play because he knows the guys up front aren't blocking for him. That's my theory anyway about this. I think the offensive line's doing a bad job in run blocking. Yes, has Devin Singletary maybe missed a few holes? Possibly, but it's also probably a mental thing for him, like knowing, like, hey, I'm not confident in these guys, so I'm going to try to improvise a little bit. And that's where you got to get in the trouble, I think, if you're a running back. So
there's two great comments back to back. We're going to start with JJ Pollack, and then we're going to get to PJ. We're going to get to PJ Thighs. JJ Pollack says, look for Inseki to get snaps at guard. I don't think so. Like the way Sean McDermott, don't get me wrong, JJ, if the Buffalo Bills do that, I will be pumped. I will be so excited. If it were me Ty Nsekhe is starting at left. Actually, I should say, if it were me, Quentin Spain would be starting at left guard today. He wouldn't have been cut. Ty Nsekhe would be starting at right guard, and Darrell Williams would be starting at right tackle, or you could flip-flop them. That would be me.
Yep.
But it's not me. It's Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott. And the way they see Ty Nsekhe is they see Ty Nsekhe as the most valuable backup in the National Football League. They see him as a guy, if Deion Dawkins gets hurt, they're fine at left tackle. If Darrell Williams gets hurt, they're fine at right tackle. They see him as the most valuable player in the NFL, a guy who could start on most teams, and he is their quality backup swing tackle. They're not going to put him at risk for injury, or they're not going to put him on the field. And if Dawkins or whatever gets hurt, it's going to be an even bigger shuffle to your offensive line. I just don't think the Bills coaching staff is wired that way. So my expectation is to see right guard Brian Winters today, and is to see some combination of Jordan Devey, Ike Butker, or Ryan Bates at left guard. What do you think we're going to see among the offensive line today?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Butker probably to start the game. That's my hunch. And yes, Darrell Williams has played guard in the past, but he hasn't really played it well. And I'm not messing with Darrell Williams right now, with him being one of the few bright spots on the offensive line. Him and Dawkins have been pretty solid, and obviously Morris in the middle. But like, I'm not moving Williams off of that right tackle spot, just to kind of like, I kind of like the idea of maybe having Nsekhe at guard and Williams at tackle, or even Williams at guard and Nsekhe at right tackle. But I'm not moving Williams off that right tackle spot, because I think he's played pretty well this year. So the question becomes is then really, what do you do at left guard? Because we kind of know Brian Winters is going to be starting at right guard. I think it's going to be Butker to start the game, but maybe there's a rotation. Maybe they do rotate through that spot to see who's performing well in this game. And Butker, I think, will have the first shot, but Devy would be an interesting one to see, because obviously they just brought him up. So you would think that he might get some run with just the fact that he's going to be active.
Yeah, we got PJ Thigh coming in. He says, I think Phillips might get traded away. I don't know about
Phillips, I assume he's not.
Yeah. I don't know about you, and tell me what you think about this. I don't think the Bills have any interest in trading him at this point, because they invested.
His value is so low right now.
Yeah, his value being so low. I should say I don't think the Bills have any interest in moving on from Harrison Phillips right now, because they invested some draft capital in him. He's got a lot of the traits and the characteristics that a coach like Sean McDermott loves. And he was playing really well last season before his ACL injury. Could this be a situation where maybe that ACL just ain't right yet, and the Buffalo Bills just think it's really affecting his game, and that it's just a matter of time before Harrison Phillips gets back in the lineup? Or do you think he's showing this coaching staff that he's just not the player that he thought he was?
I think maybe it's a little bit of both. I think not having the preseason hurt Harrison Phillips a lot, because he didn't get kind of real reps. Preseason would have done him wonders to try to kind of like get his knee. I not that your knee needs conditioning, right? Because it's not like a cardio thing for the knee, but at least get you some, maybe that mental confidence back that you can trust the knee. So, you think about it, like we're kind of like in game 3 now of quote the season, if you kind of consider the first 4 as would have been preseason. Not saying that it's the equivalent, but from a rep standpoint, maybe that is for Harrison Phillips. And I also think he's hurting from, just not as good a play as maybe we saw him ascending to at the beginning of 2019, where we did see him playing well early on in the year last year and before the injury. So I think it's a combination of both, but I think that it's likely that knee is still bothering him and that he's just going to need more time. And that's why I agree with you. I don't think the Bills are ready to move on from him, because they think they want to see, to the point where he gets back and he's 100%. Lingering injury is going to be a problem this year. As we can see, the shoulder with Edmonds is lingering. The ACL from Phillips is lingering over these injuries to Milano, these injuries to Trey White. For as healthy as the Bills were last year, it's kind of gone the opposite way this year, which, law of averages, you hate to say it, but that's kind of what it feels like right now. Is like we got all the luck with health last year, and it feels like it's going the other way for us this year.
Yeah, haven't had a chance to type the Bills inactives yet. We've already discussed the Bills inactives, but a couple of things from the New York Jets. Number one that I want to talk about: Sam Ficken, the kicker, is out for the Jets today, and a couple people in the comment section have said, "Hey, who is kicking for the New York Jets today?" It's a man by the name of Sergio Castillo. He is a kicker punter combo. Ooh. He went to West Texas A&M. He played a lot in the CFL. So he is a fairly raw kicker. He's never really kicked in an NFL game before. So it's going to be Tyler Bass versus Sergio Castillo. we're going to have this conversation a little bit. The Bills have faced a tsunami of injuries. Yes, Matt Milano is active today. The Buffalo Bills have faced a tsunami of injuries, whereas the New York Jets are probably the healthiest they've been all season. So me, being the typical Bills fan I am, I'm like low-key concerned, and I'm worried about this game that is probably going to be closer than the 10.5-point spread would suggest. Special teams is going to be huge today. So you have Tyler Bass versus Sergio Castillo. You have the guy that we both loved in the pre-draft process, Braden Mann, versus Bills Mafia's favorite player right now, Corey Bojorquez. So it's gonna be a big day for Corey Bojorquez to show up against the guy that most of Bills Mafia wanted last offseason in Braden Mann. And then a sneaky player who's going to have a big game, I think, Andre Roberts. Make it easy on us, man. Give us some good field position today. You're going up against your former team. We've mentioned this before. He missed the revenge game last year because of injury. Then the second revenge game didn't count. So he had his first revenge game this year, broke off a couple of nice kick returns, and now he gets to return to MetLife and in front of exactly 0 fans, which is the amount of fans the Jets would have if they were even allowing a crowd into this game. Andre Roberts gets to show up and show out versus the New York Jets. So
I like how you just seamlessly threw that dig into your that was so
So we're gonna see. I think special teams is like, I'm actually kind of like, it's weird. I'm actually kind of excited to see special teams a little bit today. I want to see Tyler Bass get a couple of kicks as long as it's not in a close game.
Can you give Bojorquez a little credit? He's actually been pretty good. I mean,
he's a great punter, shitty holder, great punter.
He's still blasting him through the end zone, but I mean, the dude can flip the field at least.
And he can flip the field at least. You're right. But here's what we haven't. You know what we haven't had to see from Corey Bojorquez yet? A coffin corner.
No,
we haven't had to see a coffin corner from Corey Bojorquez yet. So when we are asking him to, actually, it's probably a good thing. Our offense hasn't really put him in that situation. Right. But yeah, Corey Bojorquez is impressing because, and hey, maybe this is what the Bills had in mind, because last year there was a lot of times where we punted, we got past the 50-yard line and then we just stalled, right?
Yes.
And then we were asking Corey Bojorquez to coffin corner. And he just couldn't do it. Like, it was touchbacks and it was such a waste. It was like a net average of like 33 yards. So when your offense is converting and you're kicking field goals or you're driving down and scoring touchdowns and you're not asking your punter to coffin corner, it does make sense then to have a big leg punter to flip the field the few times you do have to punt. So kudos to the Buffalo Bills for finally putting Corey Bojorquez in a position to be successful at what he's at. Kudos to Corey Bojorquez for doing well what he's supposed to do well at, but I'm still scared shitless about him having a coffin corner if it ever comes to that, and B, him holding kicks. Tyler Bass and Corey Bojorquez, can you imagine the passive aggressive stuff that must be going on between those two in the locker room?
Like Tyler Bass probably like leaving Ace Ventura on repeat in like Corey Bojorquez's locker with like the Ray Finkel stuff.
He's just leaving like photographs of Ray Finkel. He's taking red spray paint and writing "Finkel is Einhorn" like inside of Corey Bojorquez's locker. But there's a couple of other things about the Jets injury report I want to talk about. Number one, a little bit of gamesmanship from the New York Jets here. Jamison Crowder is not playing, and it was pretty much stated last night. Like last night, the report that Jamison Crowder was a no-go came out. And I'm sorry, but last time I checked, if you're knowing, if reports are leaking Saturday night that this guy ain't playing, maybe he should have been listed as doubtful and not questionable. That seems to me like some shady reporting from the New York Jets in terms of the injury of Jamison Crowder.
It may be, but let's be honest, like 5 years ago, the probable, questionable, doubtful was used way more. It's now pretty much questionable and out. Like they don't use probable and doubtful anymore. I don't even know if those are still injury designations in the NFL. They may not even, I mean, I think they are, but like teams don't use those anymore. They use questionable because they don't want, like teams all around the league, they don't want to give it away whether a guy's playing or not. And what it makes teams do is it makes them look at like the actual participation of each player. Oh, did this guy have a full practice? Did he have a limited practice? How did he trend throughout the week? Did he go from DNP to LP to FP? Did he go from FP to DNP? Like whatever. So it's gamesmanship everywhere, I think. But at the end of the day, like questionable is like the safety net for every team because they can say, hey, questionable. We weren't sure. We weren't sure. He's not playing. Okay, he's not playing. Like they just don't use probable and doubtful anymore. And I'm going to look it up if those are still even injury designations, because I'm not even
doubtful. They're having a few doubtfuls this year, but
I don't know that probable is.
Yeah, probable isn't. But I know that doubtful is still in there. All right. So another thing that we need to talk about. Alex Lewis is out. He is the starting left guard for the New York Jets. Their backup left guard, a guy that we both loved in the pre-draft process, but still pretty raw, Cameron Clark, also out. Starting at left guard today for the New York Jets, the one, the only, Connor McDermott.
Oh, God, he's so bad.
So,
God, if we can't get pressure up the middle against that guy.
And this is what I'm talking about. I would really love for the Buffalo Bills today to put Vernon Butler out there with Quentin Jefferson and to put Justin Zimmer out there with Ed Oliver. Put the big clogging type of dudes over on the side of Greg Van Roten and Connor McGovern, and let Quentin Jefferson and let Ed Oliver eat Connor McDermott alive. Let them show the world what Connor McDermott really is, that we all know he is. Let that happen. So to me, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I don't know. Again, you mentioned the hockey thing, trying to find the right lines. They don't seem to be trying to find the right lines because they're really not switching much. Last game, it was Mario Addison, Jerry Hughes, Quentin Jefferson, and Ed Oliver. And then when they were out, it was AJ Epinesa, Brian Cox, Daryl Johnson would maneuver in, and that would be Zimmer and Butler. It was it was like lines in hockey. There were no crisscrossing or combinations. The Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, need to put and again, this is very generic, and I've been using this term for a while now, but I'm being dead serious. They need to put a big fatty next to Ed Oliver and Quentin Jefferson. I'm sick and tired of 2 3-techs on the field, and one of them having to take on the responsibility of a 1-tech. I get it. I understand. It's better for the pass rush, whatever. I don't care. Put a big fatty next to Greg Van Roten and Connor McGovern, and let these 2 3 techniques, who are very good pass rushers, and Quentin Jefferson and Ed Oliver, absolutely make Connor McDermott regret ever playing football. That's what they need to do today.
But is it
a benefit of pass
rush if you have 2-3 techniques in and the offensive line can just handle them both?
Exactly.
Isn't the goal of the big fatties to eat up 2 guys on the offensive line so you can get one-on-one with your 3 technique and Ed Oliver and Jefferson?
We see Jerry Hughes doing something in the past couple of weeks. He's had some of the worst games he's had as a pro because he is biting so hard on the inside, and Jerry Hughes is trying to go inside as opposed to setting the edge and going outside and playing contain like he normally does. And the reason why he's doing that is because his defensive tackles are just not delivering the way they're supposed to be delivering. So I think if you can fix the interior, the defensive ends will come along, because I don't think the defensive ends are as bad as we think they are. I think Hughes, Addison, Murphy, Epinesa, Johnson, Cox, whatever combination you put out there, they'd be fine. Are they elite? No, but they'd be fine. We are just missing that one big fatty on defense to make it all work. And that's what upsets me the most, is the fact that we had all off season, Starlo Delele or no Starlo Delele. You knew Harrison Phillips was coming off of an ACL injury, and you knew that. So you had Starlo Delele and you had Harrison Phillips coming off an injury. Those were your only 2 big fatties. And you did nothing this offseason to go get like a 3rd big fatty or a developmental big fatty. There are no big fatties on this defense.
Nope.
I understand we're using the word big fatty here, but I'm starting to enjoy it. I understand that big fatty opted out, but guess what? Go find another big fatty. Snacks Harrison. The fact that Snacks Harrison was available for for the last 6 weeks, and you didn't do anything to go out and try to convince him to come to Buffalo, tells me that you don't think you need a big fatty. And I think you're wrong, Sean McDermott. I think you're wrong.
Is Vernon Butler the biggest dude that we have?
Yeah, and he's just like Jordan Phillips. He's kind of a pushover in the run game.
Yeah.
And he doesn't nearly have the mindset of a Jordan Phillips. Jordan Phillips was out there and he looked like a man on fire. You could at least give Jordan Phillips that. Vernon Butler just blends in. Like, Vernon Butler doesn't do anything to stand out the way Jordan Phillips used to do. Very similar guys, I think, in size. But Jordan Phillips is bigger. But Jordan Phillips played like his hair was on fire. And Vernon Butler does not play that way.
Yeah, I mean, JJ Pollock says go get Fletcher Cox. Well, I don't think the Eagles are going to be in the trade. And I also don't think they're going to be in the trade market because they're in a good shape. They're in a good shape to win that division. So they might be buyers at the trade deadline. Who the hell knows?
Speaking of being in a position to win the division, let's shift our focus here. And I want to talk about one of the storylines that I think is going under the radar. We are right now, Bills Mafia is in a very reactionary mode, right? Because we've just come off of the Tennessee game where we kind of got curb stomped and throttled by the team that was in the AFC title game last year in the Tennessee Titans. Then we came back and against, yes, that is one guy right there, Delvin Tomlinson, that I like to make a trade for the Giants. The Giants are already starting to sell off Marcus Golden. Whether they'd be willing to trade off Tomlinson, who's a younger player, I don't know, but he is a guy who I would go out and pursue. But the Buffalo Bills, we've been very reactionary. We reacted to the Titans game. We reacted to the Chiefs game. We've lost to some really good teams. But at the end of the day, despite all the flaws in this team, 4-2.
Yep.
New York Jets. This is a game that you have to win. I don't care how many people are injured. Your quarterback's not. You got to win. Plain and simple. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are healthy. You got to win this football game. And we'll talk about the offense in a second. But you got to win this football game. And when you do win this football game, or you should win this football game, you're 5-2 heading into New England, who's not the same old New England. And I understand that we're beat up, and they have Cam Newton, which gives them a puncher's chance, and they still got a pretty decent defense. And Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick. But honestly, we should be 6-2 heading into Seattle. So as upset as we are right now as Bills fans, these are the two most crucial games of the season. Because if we can beat the Jets, and we can beat the Patriots, and we can go to 4-0 in the AFC East. I made this first half hour of the show. The rest of the season is practically preseason, because come on, no one's catching up to you in this division with Tua now starting, and New England the way they are against the schedule that they have. There's no way if you get to 6-2, 4-0 in the division, anyone's catching you. No one's catching you. And the rest of the season is just figuring your shit out. So the reason why the Buffalo Bills might not have made a trade yet is because the Buffalo Bills are waiting it out. They're like, well, maybe we can win these next 2 games, and maybe we can, pretty much secure the division, and then we can figure our shit out over the backstretch of the season. So that's just one thing to consider, because I think we're reacting right now, and I think our vision of what's ahead is a little blurred because of what's happened in the rearview mirror.
No, I think there's some truth to that. I mean, look, New England just lost to Denver last week, who, yes, they got Drew Lock back, but I mean, Denver was not, Denver was not blowing anybody away by any means. Like they've been down and out most of the season. I mean, their win against the Jets was that was a hard fought win too. So New England losing to Denver kind of, to me, opens the door to say, like, look, all these teams in the AFC East have flaws right now. The Jets, obviously, they're 0-6. New England has their own flaws. Cam is Cam, but they haven't really been, passing the ball a ton, right? They're not a great passing team. Their running game's okay, I guess. Their defense is good. It's not as good as it was, but our defense also is much worse. So it's kind of a battle of attrition right now in the AFC East. I feel like at least over the last few weeks, and the fact that New England lost to Denver last week was a huge break to the Bills, especially because the Bills just went through a very tough stretch of this 2-game schedule with Tennessee and Kansas City. So, you win this game against the Jets today, and then all of a sudden you go in New England, New England's playing the Niners today. I think they'll win and get back to 3-3. But if New England loses today to the Niners and they go to 2-4 and the Bills are sitting there at 5-2, and then they go to 6-2 and New England goes to 2-6 or 2-5, excuse me. I mean, Miami's really the only threat at that point. So I feel like, these next 2 games are really critical for the Bills. And like you said, that could be the reason why they might be waiting. But I also feel like Beane's been aggressive in his tenure here. He's been aggressive in trading up. He's been aggressive in trading players away. So why all of a sudden now, when you are sort of supposed to be the class of the division and you want to take this division, why are you now not being aggressive? So that's I guess the devil's advocate question to the wait and see. It kind of goes against what he's been his entire tenure here. So maybe they just honestly feel like they have the guys and it's just been injuries that's been the issue.
All right. Well, your time, Dave, is slowly trickling to an end here. Got about 3 minutes left of this Bills guys version of the pregame show. So how about you give us your final thoughts on the game, and you give us your pregame prediction before we take a little break and bring on our special guest for this afternoon's pregame show.
Yeah, I mean, look, the game opened at 13, it's down to 10, so clearly money coming in on the Jets, at least on the spread. Gamblers, Vegas, they're looking at the Bills' injuries, saying okay, even if Tre'Davious and Milano play, they're banged up. The Jets are getting Darnold back, so maybe there's a little juice for them there. The Jets ran the ball at least decently well against Miami at the last game. So there's maybe a little bit of a scare there, and the Bills' running game's been non-existent. So again, I think Josh Allen has to start out hot today. I think he needs to get in the groove early. And I think if the Bills can get in the groove early and Josh Allen's comfortable and he's in rhythm and he's confident today, then John Brown or not, this should be a game where the Bills can have success passing the ball. And schematically gave up a lot of yards on the ground on defense last week. But the 2 games prior, when we were trying to take the run away, we did so somewhat effectively against Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs. So my only concern really is Darnold going to make a few big plays to Perryman and Mims making his debut? That's the only thing that worries me a little bit. I do think that maybe they will hit a couple plays, but I do think ultimately the Bills really should win this game. They are the better team. They have the better coach. They have the better, offense overall. And while the Jets defensive line is good, our running game's really been non-existent all year, and we've still won 4 games. So I still think the Bills are going to win. I don't know that they cover the 10. I think it's going to be right around that. I don't think that they'd score a ton of points today. So I'll say, Bills 24, Jets 17. That's my prediction.
All right. I like it. A little too close for comfort. I know I'll be sweating it out if that is in fact what happens, but hey, a win is a win. Will set us up for a huge week in New England. Thanks again, Dave. Riding out the last hour and a half of this podcast, this pregame show here. We will be back tomorrow with the Bills guys. What time? 7:45. Was that what time we start? I forgot.
Yes.
It's been
you
long.
haven't been on the show in so long that you don't even know what's going on.
Yeah,
but,
so tomorrow,
but don't let it fool you, because you do a lot of work in the background that the viewers don't see. So this guy is the hardest working man at Buffalo
pointing
Fanatics,
literally at off the screen, but okay, thank you.
This way, there we go. That way,
go.
It's reversed.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, so Dave, thank you again. We will see you. I will see you again tomorrow. The viewers will see you again tomorrow. Go Bills!
Go Bills!
And we will be back in about a minute with a special guest special surprise guest for today's pregame show. All right, Bills Mafia, we are back with our surprise guest today, the newest member of the Buffalo Fanatics squad, the Bing Squad here. I'm here with Bree Costello. You can find her on Twitter at Bree Angelina. I believe you can also find her on Instagram there as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And she is the host of the Chick from the 716, the newest Buffalo Fanatics podcast, which will be debuting this Thursday. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
No, not too bad. I live out here on the West Coast. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. So these games are a little too early for my liking. I like to sleep in, but I can't on these Sundays. But tell us about this podcast that you'll be debuting on Thursday here at the Buffalo Fanatics.
So I'm actually going to release like a trailer episode tomorrow, and I'm just going to give basically what I'm telling you guys now. So my podcast is pretty much going to be whatever I want it to be at this point. I'm going to talk about pop culture, a little bit of sports, life, college, that type of thing. And I want it to really just be, I guess, relatable to my listeners, and I want them to tell me what they want to hear. So it's going to be very up in the air and free flowing, basically.
Nice. I like that. And there's always, I think you're a Bills fan, right? So there's always going to be like a nice little Bills spin or a Bills vibe to it at some point during the podcast. Tell us
Yes.
about how you became a Buffalo Bills fan. Oh, did we lose? Did we lose Bria? Oh, we got it.
And then I think towards like, got it.
Yeah, sorry,
Um,
there's a little
and
pause there.
yeah. But in high school, I started like actually going to Bills games and learning football. And the way I learned football was participating in the Powder Puff game in high school and actually learning football by playing football a little bit. And then I realized it's actually fun. And ever since then, I'm a Bills fan. And I go to college like 6 hours away from Buffalo. So there's
Mhm.
not many Buffalo people out here. And now one of my roommates is actually a big Bills fan too. So every Sunday we always watch the games together.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing with Bills Mafia is like they always spread out and then they just
Mhm.
sort of start slowly turning everyone else around them in Bills Mafia. Have
Yep.
you're still in college, right? Have you been teaching every single person at these college parties how to jump through folding tables? Is that something that has become popular around your neck of the woods?
It's always been a joke, but they'd always be like, "Oh, Brie, break the table." I'm like, "I'm not actually gonna break the table," but I do know how technically.
Nice. All right. Well, this is the Bills versus Jets pregame show. So, what are your thoughts on this game coming up today? Like, how do you think the Bills are going to fare, and what's your prediction for this game?
I honestly think it's going to be a pretty easy game for the Bills just because the Jets have been doing so bad. And
Mhm.
another one of my roommates is actually a huge Jets fan, so we're all like so excited for this. But even she agrees that we're going to win and it's going to be easy. Um, but I guess if I were to say a score prediction, I think it's going to be Bills 40, Jets 13.
Nice. Yeah, it's that is a huge. I'll tell you what, I am not as confident as you are in that 40-13 score because I was mentioning this earlier with Dave. It's like the Buffalo Bills are just a tsunami of injuries, and the New York Jets are the healthiest they've been all season.
Yeah.
But if it ends up being 40-30, I'll tell you what, I will be pumped. But I feel like we're going to be biting our nails because I think at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills always sort of make us bite our nails in games they should win.
Yeah, they definitely do. I don't know. I have confidence in them, and the Jets just have not been doing too good. And I just don't
Mhm.
think overall they're as good of a team. So if we pull through, then hopefully we do.
Yeah, you're younger than me. I hate to pull the age card here, but I just remember like back in the day, like every time the Bills seem to be good, something always seems to go wrong. And like the thought that keeps creeping in my head today is back when Mike Mularkey was the head coach and the Drew Bledsoe was the quarterback. There was a game, week 17, where it's like, oh, the Steelers are playing their backups. The Bills are going to win. The Bills are going to go to the playoffs. They're going to break their drought, blah, 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 blah. All of those things. And the Bills came in and they got curb stomped by a bunch of backups like Tommy Maddox and Willie Parker. So like those things are always in like the back of my head when we go to play these games against easier opponents. So I don't know. Maybe it'd be nicer to have a clean slate
Yeah.
you and make these predictions. Who do you think is going to be the player of the game by the time the game is over when we're done talking? Who do you think is going to have the biggest game for the Buffalo Bills?
Probably Diggs. I feel like he's got it. And like
Yeah.
I just can see it.
Yeah, like I see what you're saying too, because like John Brown is out. So
Mhm.
like we've seen it like game after game after game. The Buffalo Bills are just absolutely, or Josh Allen is absolutely targeting Stephon Diggs. And like for a lot of the times they just like forget Cole Beasley exists. I wish they wouldn't. I wish they throw at him some more. So it would make sense against some of these Jets DBs if Stephon Diggs were to have a big day. Do you think that this is the week the Bills defense maybe turns it around against this New York Jets offense?
Yeah. I just read that Milano's back in again today,
Mhm.
so hopefully that is better for us too today at least.
Yeah.
But I think I told you guys I have the best defense on my fantasy team, so like obviously I want to see them do well as a fan and for fantasy. But I don't know. I guess you kind of just never know with them at the same time. But I think with Milano back, I think it will be better.
Yeah, Milano back for sure is huge. I mean, the Jets 12.5 points per game they're scoring on offense. So if the Bills defense can't get it done today, woof. I don't. It might not be so great. So Bree gave her score prediction. She said that you said 40-13, correct?
Yes.
All right. So what I want from you guys in the comment section is I want you guys to start giving us your score predictions, and I want you to start giving us maybe your statistical predictions for today. And we will sort of analyze what you guys have going on in the comment section. So start hitting us up with the comments. What do you think? How do you think Josh Allen's going to do? Who do you think are going to be the big players? What do you think the final score is going to be? Hit us up in that comment section, and we will analyze what you guys have to say. And I guess I'll share my prediction at this point, which I actually haven't created yet because I didn't even think about it. So we're just going to do this on the fly here. Let's see here. I think the Bills.
Someone said Jets upset.
I don't know if I like that. Come on, Kirk.
Oh my goodness.
Carlos feeling confident. Carlos got 31-14. But I'll tell you what. Like, I'm trying to think of what I want score prediction I want to give the Bills. And I'm trying to think of how many points they'll score. This defense isn't so great, but we are missing John Brown. I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills put up. I'm going to say the offense comes alive today. I'm going to give the Buffalo Bills 31. I'm going to give the Bills 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. So 27. I'll give the Bills 27. So I'll give the Bills 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Bills 27. Jets, I believe. Okay, I'm gonna. I'll say 27-17. I think I'm giving the same exact prediction that my co-host Dave Tilton just gave, but I'm going to say Buffalo Bills 27-17. I think that the Bills won't be beating that spread of 10.5, but I still think it'll be a comfortable 10-point win. Got a couple other predictions coming in right now. 28-0. Boy, that would be fun. If we could shut them out, that'd be a really good one for our defense. JJ Powlack says 31-21 Bills. Josh goes for 327 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Duke scores. I believe he meant to say Tutty. I don't think he meant to say Titty, but Duke does score a touchdown. I hope Duke scores a touchdown. I mean, how great would that be? He did have a pretty solid game against the Jets in Week 17 last year when the game didn't count. We got some really good ones coming in here. We got Bill Trek Reviewer says Buff 45-3. I'll tell you what, I don't know. I just not feeling the confidence that you're feeling and that some of these people are feeling that we're going to handle these Jets today with all the injuries we have. John Petrelli says, good for you, Bree. Good luck with your podcast. Bills 17-14.
Thank you, John.
PJ Ty says 27-14. See, that's more in my in my range. We got Bobby over here, the Instagram god, saying Jets scoring 17. Bet not. Bobby, in the comment section, tell me why you don't think the Jets score 17 today. Against our defense, we got Cam Lewis at cornerback number 2 playing with a club on his hand. Trey White with a back injury. Matt Milano having not played in weeks. Jermaine Edmonds still nursing the sore shoulder. We have no one technique on defense. Bobby, please explain to me how you don't think that a Sam Darnold back with the Jets can score 17 points. We got Adrian Miles back predicting 38-10. Bills D finally gets in the end zone. So she's predicting a Bills defensive touchdown. That would be a sight for sore eyes. Gase keeps his job. Hey, I love that prediction right there. Scott Blakely says 35-3. This confidence. You're instilling confidence in these people. They're not letting me drag them down today. Gabriel Fluellen says gonna say 33-17 Bills. I like that. 26-10 from DW Camardi. 34-9 the Bills. Josh goes off. Joshua Walsh says Judge didn't cite my prediction. Hey, post it again. I'm sorry I missed it. We're gonna hit up RD. Good. I hope not. Frank Gore is old. I think someone said earlier he's going to walk. Someone said in the comment section earlier he's going to walk all over our defense as opposed to run all over our defense. AK Cash says 33-24 Bills. Bandito says 28-13 Bills. 28-17 Bills. 31-21 Bills. So the confidence there. And see, look at that, Josh. I got you. 28-17 Bills. Lee Smith from the press box actually from whatever COVID bubble he's in, getting a penalty. So, yeah, I love the predictions, guys. Keep it up. Judge gets put through a table if the Bills lose. All right, that's a deal. If the Bills lose today, I will smash myself through a table.
I'll teach you how.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know the proper technique. I'm recording this show. I'm based on a folding table. So how
Okay.
fitting. Like I'm at a folding table. My fiance gets the fancy desk. I get the folding table in our home
It's
office
on
here.
brand.
Yeah.
So it
So
makes sense.
we actually own 2 folding tables. And she literally looked at me. She's like, why do we own 2 folding tables? And I'm like, listen, I'm from Buffalo. You need to understand that in Buffalo, we keep the folding table business. We keep them in business. So, all right. It has been a pleasure,
do.
Bree. I really do appreciate it. Do you have any final things you want to say? Sell your podcast one more time. Tell the people where to find you on all your different social media accounts, and just let them know a little bit more about yourself.
I see. So first, I see Josh asking, "What am I studying?"
Mhm.
If you listen to my podcast, you're gonna learn. So my podcast name is Chick from the 716. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as @BrieAngelina, like on the screen, literally. And that's basically my username for everything. And then I'm dropping the trailer tomorrow for the podcast. It will be on Apple and Spotify, so you guys can find it there. And then if you have any hot takes on Bills or anything, you can message me and maybe I'll talk about it this week.
Yeah, we got PJ here who says Lee Smith held a slumber party, got everyone sick. My favorite story in Bills Mafia this week, because apparently Dawson Knox was like the one who spread it, but my favorite story in Bills Mafia this week is the fact that Tyler Croft is active today. I don't know if you've seen this. Tyler Croft is literally only active today because he missed the team meeting because his wife was having a baby. So thank you to Tyler Croft's wife for having your baby on Friday. So Tyler Croft was not in that meeting room, or Duke Williams literally would be starting at tight end today and not just like there in case of emergency. So thank you. I believe her name is Lexi. Thank you, Lexi Croft. Thank you for having a baby. The timing was perfect. It was impeccable. Reggie Gilliam was somehow not in the room. Don't understand that. Someone said he's probably in the running back room because he's actually a fullback. So yeah, thank you. Oh, the baby's name is literally Grace, by the way, too. So that baby was our saving grace this Sunday. So ladies and gentlemen, that'll just about do it for today's pregame show. I got to hop out a little bit early because I got some things that I have to do before kickoff. We got a full 45 minutes before this game gets rolling. Head over to Twitter, head over to Instagram, head over to Flick Chat and join the Buffalo Fanatics Flick Chat channel. And don't forget, we got Bobby Ray coming in, Grace Croft born with that clutch factor. I agree. Don't forget before you head out to join the BF Text Club. Seriously, all the cool kids are doing it. 24/7 access to the Buffalo Fanatics anytime, anywhere. You can text with your questions, your comments, your concerns. You can hit us up with show notes, things to talk about on the show, whatever you want. The founders have access to this phone, so it's 24/7 access to the Buffalo Fanatics. They'll also send you news updates like Bills and actives and things like that. So join the BF Text Club, 716-219-0086. We want to again thank every single person who contributed to the show today, from Casey Reed, who was late this morning and couldn't seem to get his hair right because he refuses to use product like me, to Dave and Adam and Mitch, to myself, of course. I'm not willing to, I'm always willing to pat myself on the back. And of course to Bree. Thank you, Bree, so much for joining us today on the pregame show. Truly a pleasure. We're going to have you back in the near future. And to all of Bills Mafia, we finish the show every single week with the same thing. We just say go Bills. So I'll say go Bills, and then you can end it with the go Bills. We'll give you the honor of the last go Bills. So until next time, Bills Mafia, go Bills.
Go Bills.